डोडा मार्ग रीजन में, वहां मुझे पता चला जो खड़शी नदी है उस पर पूरी तरह से जो MIDC है, जिसका मैंने अभी जिक्र किया, महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन, जिसका कि अलाउड भी नहीं है कि कोई इंडस्ट्री कोई बंधारा या बांध बनाए नदी के ऊपर, फिर भी वो इंडस्ट्री बना रही है, और जबकि ये जल जीवन प्राधिकरण का काम है, ये रुकना चाहिए। तो अब ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि जो गोवा और महाराष्ट्र के लोग दोनों एक हो चुके हैं और वो नहीं चाहते हैं कि नदी के ऊपर किसी भी तरीके का बंधारा बने, क्योंकि अगर नदी का प्रॉब्लम है कि उसको बहाव देना, उसको फ्लो देना है, उसको हमको अगर उसकी ब्लॉकेज ठीक करना है तो उसको पेसमेकर नहीं बिठाना है, और इस तरीके का गलत जो चीजें हो रही है इसको रोकना है। दूसरा, जब मैं गोवा में गई, मैंने देखा कि गोवा के लोगों को एक बहुत बड़ी चिंता सता रही है, नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ रिवर। उसके नाम पे उस पे सारा तरीके का टूरिज्म और प्राइवेट कार्गोस को अलाउ कर रहे हैं, जिसके वजह से जो लोकल जो फिशरमैन है, वहाँ की फिशरमैन कम्युनिटी बहुत ही आगे चल के काम करती है, लेकिन उनको फील हो रहा है थ्रेट, क्योंकि हैबिटेट्स वगैरह जो ऑर्गेनिजम्स के हैं वो सब खराब हो रहे हैं। तो इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी कि यहाँ पर जो नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ रिवर है, इसका जब भी डिक्लेयर भी हो रहा है, इसमें लोकल लोगों का पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए, उनका निर्णय भी लेना चाहिए। CRZ का कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन का भी बहुत बड़ा इशू है, जो कि हो सकता है हमारे दूसरे वेस्टर्न फ्लो के सत्र में हमारे भाई जो आए हैं, बॉलमैक्स आए हैं या रॉय बरिटो जी, वो भी थोड़ा सा उस पर विचार हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत करेंगे। तो ये जो इंटरलिंकिंग ऑफ रिवर कर रहे हैं, इसके तहत जो पोर्ट ट्रस्ट को दिया गया है सारा इसका अथॉरिटी, ये पोर्ट ट्रस्ट के पास अथॉरिटी बिल्कुल नदी की जानी नहीं चाहिए, वरना ये पूरी तरह से जो बड़ी बड़ी शिप्स और कार्गोज आने लगे हैं और बहुत सारा ऑयल पोल्यूशन होने लगा है पानी के ऊपर, इसको रोका जाना चाहिए। और इसी तरह से मैं अभी बंगाल को भी रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ, तो बंगाल में जब मैंने जो फरक का बराज भी बना है जो गंगा के ऊपर, मालदा मुर्शिदाबाद रीजन में है ये, और इसके वजह से जो इरोजन हो रहा है, बहुत सारा जो भांगोन कहते हैं वहाँ पर, नदी का भांगोन गंगा का, उसके वजह से बहुत गांव के गांव डूबते जा रहे हैं और उससे एक चर लैंड तैयार हो रही है जो कि नो मैंस लैंड हो जाती है। उसकी कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है, नेशनल पॉलिसी कुछ भी नहीं है। दूसरा है जो इरोजन रिलेटेड जो लोग अफेक्टेड होते हैं, उनको डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट और पॉलिसी के अंडर में उनको किसी भी तरीके का रिलीफ नहीं मिलता है। तो इस तरीके का इरोजन को भी डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट पॉलिसी में इंक्लूड किया जाए, और उनको जो okay, so I will speak in English again a little bit, I'll repeat it. So I have presented that industrial development corporation should not be allowed on the river banks to make the industries, which is happening very rampantly everywhere across India. Secondly, I have said that MPCB, Pollution Control Board, should be made accountable for any type of such pollutions, because they have all the rights and authorities for cutting the water supply and electricity powers, but they are not doing these things, just shifting their responsibility on others. This has to stop somewhere, so we have to make them accountable. Another thing I have touched upon about the nationalization of rivers, for interlinking of rivers. Maybe in some states they want interlinking, but most of the states they don't require as such, because there are other alternatives which needs to be explored, like rainwater harvesting and all. In the first session we saw in the morning itself, there is so many alternatives which is not being explored. That needs to be explored rather than going for interlinking of rivers, because it may be misused a lot, because now it's going under port trust, which need not be done that way. The authority is given to the port trust. That one thing I have touched. Another is about the coastal regulation zone. We have seen that from 500 meters it has been reduced to 100, and in Mumbai also we have seen the way all buildings, because it's just for the builders lobby that such kind of reduction is being done, and all buildings have been or constructions have been allowed in under the name of such modifications. Even in case of Goa, we found that all the fishermen, they feel the threat of it and they are very much agitating for it. And when such drafts are being made, like for the coastal regulation zones, native people should be also given opportunity to discuss on it and allowed to make the draft. So this is what is expected. Regarding West Bengal, I was touching upon the erosion issues which is happening due to the Farakka Barrage, or a big dam which is 112 gates dam, because of which since a long time, that is since 1972, there is a lot of siltation which has happened in Ganga, and because of that regularly many number of villages, they keep falling, or it is getting submerged in water, and there is lot of chur lands which is getting created, and then there is no policy for such people, those who get affected, as well as no relief for them. So I have suggested that in disaster management policy, this erosion issue has to be incorporated and relief has to be given to the affected people. Next is, I think I have covered everything. Another most important about Ganga is that most of the sewage is being released in Ganga across Kolkata. We have found that 256 such sewage which is opening, directly releasing. So we have already approached to the Urban Development Authority, but this needs to be immediately diverted. Already NGT and Supreme Court's order is there for such thing, but it has not been implemented. So this such kind of whatever the rules, orders which are coming up, these needs to be effectively implemented. So we need to keep an eye on this, and we have to do the compliance of such thing. Thank you so much.
Now I proposed the people of manifesto who prepared, they can listen and understand what is the important part for the manifesto. But we cancel one session knowing our river a perspective. This session is cancelled and next session start on 2:45 and time is over. So we continue this discussion. We are not disturbing anything. The same thing for the knowing our river, Himalaya river. And Indra is chair. संजय बोल चुके हैं और हमारी स्नेहल बोल चुकी है. मैं अब उत्तराखंड से सबसे पहले शुरू करता हूं, सुरेश से. सुरेश भाई मंच पे आए और सुरेश भाई जरा बताएं कि हिमालयन रिवर का संकट क्या है. हिमालयन रिवर में जो आंदोलन अभी तक हुए हैं, उत्तराखंड से इन्होंने सदैव नदी को, गंगा को अविरल और निर्मल बनाने के लिए अद्भुत काम किया है, बहुत लड़ाई लड़ी है. इसलिए मैं हिमालयन रिवर की शुरुआत श्री गणेश, श्री सुरेश भाई से करता हूं.
तो आप शायद हिंदी में बात करेंगे ना? हाँ, तो सुरेश जी हिंदी में बात करेंगे और उनका जो I will translate the main points of what Suresh ji is saying in English after hearing him. Yes.
हाँ, ठीक जी. आप सबको प्रणाम करता हूँ. मैं उत्तराखंड से आया हूँ और हमारे गुरुजी श्री राजेंद्र सिंह जी हैं और यहाँ पर मंच पर बैठे हुए सभी लोगों को प्रणाम करता हूँ. सुबह से हम लोग काफ़ी व्यस्तता से बैठे हुए हैं और सुन रहे हैं और बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है. मैं तो वहाँ पर रहता हूँ जहाँ से गंगा जी आती है और उत्तरकाशी में हम लोगों का एक आश्रम है, हिमालयी पर्यावरण शिक्षा संस्थान, उसमें रहते हैं. हम लोग पिछले करीब 40 सालों से गंगा की अविरलता और निर्मलता के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. हम लोग सुंदरलाल बहुगुणा जी के साथ भी लंबे समय तक रहे और 2 बार हम लोग गिरफ्तार भी हुए टिहरी बांध के खिलाफ. और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड में नदी बचाओ अभियान शुरू किया और उसी दौर में हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड सरकार, जब उत्तराखंड राज्य बना तो हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड के लिए कैसी जल नीति होनी चाहिए, तो हमने पीपुल्स वाटर पॉलिसी जो है उत्तराखंड की सरकार, पहली उत्तराखंड की सरकार को सौंपा जब ND तिवारी जी पहले मुख्यमंत्री बने थे. और फिर बीच में जो है हम अपने गुरुजी श्री राजेंद्र सिंह जी के साथ जो गंगा के सिरहाने पर लोहारी नागपाला परियोजना और उसके साथ भैरव घाटी परियोजनाओं के खिलाफ जो आंदोलन हुआ, GD अग्रवाल जी उत्तरकाशी पहुंचे, हम तमाम लोग उसमें जुड़े और सरकार को वो कैंसिल करना पड़ा और वो आज तक वो परियोजनाएं बंद पड़ी हुई है, जबकि उस पर हजारों करोड़ रुपए जो है खर्च भी हो चुके थे. हमने ये सब अनुभव के बाद देखा कि जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी आए 2014 में, तो उन्होंने नमामि गंगे की बात करी और हमने उसी दौर में उनको याद दिलाया कि हिमालय बचेगा तो गंगा बहेगी. और इस बात को लेकर के हम लोगों ने एक यात्रा जो है गंगोत्री से गंगा सागर तक की 2014-15 में की और हम लोगों ने 1 लाख हस्ताक्षरों का एक दस्तावेज, हिमालय के लिए अलग नीति होनी चाहिए, हिमालय बचेगा, देश बचेगा, ये नारों की तक सीमित नहीं है बल्कि एक तरह का एक मंत्र भी है. ये विकास नीति के सामने एक चुनौती है, जो आज की जो ऐसी विकास नीति जिसमें हमारा पर्यावरण नहीं बच सकता है, नदियां नहीं बच सकती है। इसी अनुभव के दौरान 3-4 सुझाव जो मैं देना चाहता हूं। एक तो हमको लगा कि नदियों के सिरहाने से लेकर के, ओरिजिन से लेकर के और लगभग 100 किलोमीटर तक आगे किसी भी तरह का, ये हिमालय के परिक्षेत्र की बात कर रहा हूं, किसी भी तरह का भारी ह्यूज कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए। क्योंकि हमने देखा कि अभी उत्तराखंड और उसके जो 4 धाम हैं वहां के लिए जो है करीब 12,000 करोड़ की एक योजना बनाई गई है, और उसमें ऐसी सड़क बनाने की योजना है जैसे यहां पर मैं देख रहा हूं। जैसे हम यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं तो जगह जगह चौड़ी सड़कें, 2 लाइन, 3 लाइन, 4 लाइन की सड़कें, और हम लोगों ने उसका विरोध किया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी हमारे कई साथी गए, और बड़ी मुश्किल से तो उसको 7 मीटर चौड़ा करने की बात थी। सब लोगों ने सवाल उठाए थे कि इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा मलबा जो है गंगा में गिर रहा है, और गंगा के उद्गम को बचाना बहुत ज़रूरी है। क्योंकि गंगा के उद्गम में सबसे बड़ी बात तो यह है कि ऊपर ग्लेशियर बहुत तेज़ी से हर साल 15 से 20 मीटर पीछे जो हट रहा है, और ये सूखता ही जा रहा है, और बर्फ कब किसी साल ज़्यादा भी पड़ गई तो बहुत जल्दी जो है पिघल करके आ रहा है। ऐसा लगता है कि गंगा और उसके सहायक नदियों में जो है बाढ़ आ रही हो, जबकि बरसात से पहले की यह घटना हमको देखने को मिलती है। तो ये तो गंगा के उद्गम से लेकर के और आगे तक 100 किलोमीटर के क्षेत्र में किसी भी तरह का ह्यूज कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए। हमने देखा कि इस समय एक और अनुभव है जो कि हमारे मैनिफेस्टो के लिए बहुत जरूरी है, कि सरकार ने नमामि गंगे परियोजना में करीब 30,000 हेक्टेयर जमीन में पेड़ लगाने की बात करी है। साथियों, हमारे यहाँ गंगोत्री में, जहां पर मैं रहता हूं, वहां से गंगोत्री जो है 100 किलोमीटर दूर है, उत्तरकाशी में रहते हैं। इसी बीच अभी इस इलेक्शन का जो रिजल्ट 14 तारीख अगले महीने जो आने वाला है 10 मार्च को, तैयारी हो रही है कि 2 लाख पेड़ काटे जाएंगे। और 2 लाख पेड़ क्यों काटे जाएंगे? चौड़ी सड़क बनाने के लिए काटे जाएंगे। और 2 लाख पेड़ जो है वो सारे के सारे पेड़ जो है देवदार के पेड़ हैं, जो बहुत रेयर प्रजाति है, और इस तरह की प्रजातियों को काटने की तैयारी चल रही है। मैं देशवासियों से, आप तमाम लोगों से निवेदन करूंगा कि जिस तरह से पिछले दिनों दिल्ली और वहां बंबई में लोगों ने पेड़ों पर राखी बांधी, हम लोग भी पेड़ों पर रक्षा सूत्र आंदोलन चलाते हैं। उत्तराखंड में बहुत लंबे समय से कई जंगल हम लोगों ने इस गतिविधि के द्वारा बचाए हैं। अभी भी मैं आप सबसे प्रार्थना करता हूं कि उसको बचाया जाए, गंगोत्री के हरे देवदार के पहरेदारों को बचाया जाए। 2 लाख पेड़ कटने वाले हैं। जैसे दिबांग घाटी में सरकार ने जो है वो बड़ी मात्रा में बायोडाइवर्सिटी को और पेड़ों को खत्म किया, वैसे ही गंगोत्री जो कुछ बचाने का प्रयास राजेंद्र सिंह जी के साथ और जीडी अग्रवाल जी के साथ जो कुछ प्रयास हम सब लोगों ने मिलकर के किया था, वो फिर से ध्वस्त होने वाला है। कुछ ही चंद समय में मार्च अप्रैल में ये होने वाला है। साथियों, आप सब लोग इकट्ठे हो जाओ। एक तो इस बात के लिए मैं खासकर यहाँ पर इसलिए आया, और मैं बहन खुराना जी का बहुत आभारी हूँ कि उन्होंने यहाँ पर। तीसरा जो बात है कि असल में गंगा और उसके उद्गम को बचाने के लिए ये तो ठीक है कि सघन वनों का वृक्षारोपण हो और बड़े निर्माण कार्य को रोका जाए, और ये एक तरफ आप जो है वो बड़े 30,000 हेक्टेयर में जंगल बचाने की बात कर रहे हैं, और दूसरी तरफ जंगल लगाने की बात करें, दूसरी तरफ आप देवदार के पेड़ों को काट रहे हैं। इससे गंगा तो नहीं बचेगी। ये गंगा पर बहुत संकट है। गंगा और बड़े जो इस समय ऑल वेदर रोड जिसको कह रहे हैं, उसे ऑल वेदर में वो सड़कें जो है हमेशा ध्वस्त होती रहेगी। हम देख रहे हैं कि ऑल वेदर के कारण से उसके कंस्ट्रक्शन जो पिछले 2016 से हो रहा है, तब से लेकर के आज 2021 में 145 स्थानों पर 4 धाम के लिए जाने वाली 4-5 सड़कें जो है बार बार जो है भूस्खलन से प्रभावित होती रही। अब आप देखो, ये रिकॉर्ड लैंडस्लाइड है उत्तराखंड का 145 स्थानों पर। तो अब ये हालत जो है ये आगे इसकी कंटिन्यूटी बनती जा रही है, और इससे ये सारा का सारा जो मलबा है, ये सारा का सारा जो पहाड़ का जो हार्ड मांस है, पहाड़ का जो शरीर है, वो पूरा जो है इन बड़ी परियोजनाओं से समाप्त हो रहा है। इन पर रोक लगे, और बड़े जो निर्माण कार्यों में वहां पर जो बड़े प्रस्तावित बांध है, 558 बांध उत्तराखंड में प्रस्तावित है। पूरे हिमालय क्षेत्र में 1000 बांध प्रस्तावित हैं, और पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट और वेस्ट हिमालय में जो है सब, और मध्य हिमालय में जहां पर हम लोग रहते हैं। अब बताओ, 558 बांध बनाएंगे तो करीब जो है उससे बहुत लंबी जगहों पर जो है सुरंगें होंगी, और सुरंगों के ऊपर हमने हिसाब लगाया कि करीब 30-35 लाख लोग उन सुरंगों के ऊपर होंगे। और वहां भूकंप बार बार आ रहा है, और भूकंप से धरती जो है फट रही है, और जब बारिश होती है तो बारिश के समय पूरा का पूरा मलबा एक तो हैवी निर्माण कार्य, हैवी ब्लास्टिंग से जो है पूरी धरती हिली हुई है, वो सारा का सारा जो है उसका मलबा बहुत आसानी से गंगा में और गंगा और उसके सहायक नदियों जल स्रोतों में आकर के उसको ध्वस्त कर देती है। आप सब जानते हैं कि नीति आयोग की रिपोर्ट है कि 60% जल स्रोत जो है हिमालय क्षेत्र में सूख गए हैं। अब आप बताइए कि लगातार पानी, एक तो जल स्रोत जो छोटे मोटे थे जहां से लोग सीधा पानी लेते थे और वो जो है वो सूख गए। अब महिलाओं को जो है आज की तारीख में भी दूरस्थ गांव में 6-7 किलोमीटर दूर पानी के लिए जाना पड़ता है। मैं दावों के साथ कहता हूं कि अभी किसी पत्रकार ने मुझे पूछा था कि जल जीवन मिशन में जो है जो वाटर सोर्स है उसको रिचार्ज करने की क्या व्यवस्था है। हमने सरकार से पूछा कि भाई आप तो केवल पानी का शोषण कर रहे हैं, लेकिन पानी का उत्पादन तो आप कर रहे हैं, उसका प्रोडक्शन नहीं कर रहे हैं। प्रोडक्शन करने के लिए जो वाटर रिचार्ज के लिए जो चाल खाल कहते हैं हमारे यहाँ उत्तराखंड में वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर जो बनने चाहिए थे उसको नहीं बना रहे हैं। नदी के जल ग्रहण क्षेत्र में नदी को यदि बचाना है, हमारे मैनिफेस्टो का खास होना चाहिए कि पर्याप्त रूप में वहां जल ग्रहण की व्यवस्था हो। वहां पर जो परंपरागत पुश्तैनी जो चाल खाल बने थे, जो तालाब बने थे, उनको जो है रिवाइव किया जाना चाहिए। और उसको रिवाइव सीमेंट से नहीं करना है, उसको जो है बाकायदा जैसे पेड़ लगा करके और कच्चे ड्राई स्टोन वॉलिंग करके उसके चारों ओर ग्रीन प्लांटेशन करके होना चाहिए। आज जिस तरह से हम देख रहे हैं कि जल जीवन मिशन में हम अधिक से अधिक सीमेंट लगा रहे हैं, धरती जो है उससे जल स्रोत सूख रहा है। ये इस समय जल के लिए जो है खासकर नदियों पर बहुत बड़ा संकट, सबसे बड़ा संकट है सीमेंट की सड़कें, सीमेंट से जल स्रोतों का उदारीकरण। ये जो है बहुत ही परेशानी पूरे राज्य में है। और बांधों से तो ये है कि आने वाले दिनों में हम कह रहे हैं कि उत्तराखंड में इस समय जो पानी के सौदागर हैं, मैं इन्हीं शब्दों का इस्तेमाल करता हूं, तो ये पानी के सौदागरों की फाइलें जो है बहुत ऊंची होती जा रही है। रोज सौदे हो रहे हैं उत्तराखंड के साथ अन्य राज्यों के कि भाई हमको जो है आपके यहाँ पानी बहुत है और आप पानी जो है हमें दे दीजिए और जो कुछ बिजली बनाएंगे वो भी हमें ही दे दीजिए। तो उत्तराखंड को क्या देंगे? उत्तराखंड को साहब हम कुछ रॉयल्टी दे देंगे, 12% दे देंगे और 12% में सरकारी अफसरों के जो है वो काम चलेगा। महात्मा गांधी ने कहा था कि डॉक्टर, मास्टर, इंजीनियर और वकील जो है ये एकदम खरे नहीं है समाज के लिए। मैं उन शब्दों का इस्तेमाल तो यहाँ पर इतनी बड़ी मीटिंग में क्या करूं, लेकिन आप सब जानते हैं हिंद स्वराज में उन्होंने क्या कहा। मैंने इंजीनियरों को पहाड़ में जो है पहाड़ तोड़ते हुए देखा बेरहमी से, और बहुत बुरी हालत कर दी है आज के इंजीनियर जो हमारे सिविल इंजीनियर हैं, जिन पर पहाड़ को बचाने की, पहाड़ के पानी को व्यवस्थित करने की, पहाड़ में सुगम और अच्छी सड़कें बनाने की जो व्यवस्था होनी चाहिए थी वो नहीं हो पा रही है। सारा जो इंजीनियरिंग महकमा है वो पूरे हिमालय को काट रहा है, तोड़ रहा है, उसके पेट को चीर रहा है, नदियों को, सिरहानों को तोड़ रहा है और नदियां सूख रही है। तमाशबीन बने हुए हैं सरकारी व्यवस्था भी और बहुत सारे लोग भी। लेकिन कुछ लोग हैं जो कि लगे हुए हैं, उस काम को बचाने के लिए लगे हुए हैं। उनकी आवाजें कितनी है वो सब आप देख रहे हैं। बहुत संकट का दौर चल रहा है और ये ऐसे ही है कि जैसे हिमालय की जो सबसे बड़ा इस समय जो संकट है हमारे सामने कि जंगल में तो आग है और गांव में बाघ है। गांव में जो जंगल में आग लग जाती है तो गांव की तरफ बाघ आ जाता है। तो वैसे ही जब नदी सूखने लग जाती है तो गांव के लोग जो है फिर शहरों की तरफ पलायन करते हैं, और पलायन करते हैं तो पानी भी सूख गया, और क्योंकि वहां पानी की व्यवस्था हुई नहीं, स्कूल की व्यवस्था हुई नहीं। ये नदियों पर सबसे बड़ा संकट है। और अब तो ये है कि ये सब काम के लिए हमको एक बार फिर से इकट्ठा होना। पिछले 3 साल हमारे कोविड-19 के कारण से जो है हम लोग काफ़ी पिछड़ चुके हैं। फिर से मैं अपने गुरु राजेंद्र सिंह जी से प्रार्थना करूंगा कि हम सब लोग, पूरे देश के लोग एक बार इकट्ठा होएं और पहले गंगोत्री के हरे देवदार के पेड़ों को बचाना है। और वो 2 लाख पेड़ यदि कट गए तो गंगोत्री से आने वाली भगीरथ राजा ने जिस तरह से जो है तपस्या की, और वो जो सारे पेड़ कट जाएंगे उसके बाद गंगा वही गौमुख से ही जो है सूखने की।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद, वेरी गुड। सुरेश यहीं ऊपर बैठ जाओ जरा, इधर आ जाओ। सुरेश इधर आ जाओ जरा। मैं इंदिरा बहन को फोन देता हूं, जरा कीवर्ड्स में सुरेश की बात को अंग्रेजी में कर दें, क्योंकि यहाँ अंग्रेजी के साथी काफी हैं।
थैंक यू सुरेश जी। इन्होंने what he spoke about how he is fighting for the environment and the people of Uttarakhand for the last 40 years or so, and right now he is drawing our attention to the point that the government is committing to do some 30,000 plantation, but but they're also cutting 2 lakh of deodar trees in around the Gangotri area, which is a very, it's a tree which is very difficult to come by, and if those trees are cut, then it doesn't bode well for Gangotri or for the rivers, or the other rivers, and for the Himalaya. When Modi ji became the Prime Minister and started the Namami Gange project, there was a petition to him to say that if you want to save the Ganga, you will have to save the Himalayas, and unless you save the Himalayas, you will not be able to save the Ganga or the people of this country. He also drew our attention to the rapidly melting of glaciers and the threat they posed, because of there are lots of chances now of having unprecedented floods in the various rivers in the Ganga river basin. He also said that this current development projects that are happening in the Himalayan region and in Uttarakhand, it's actually not development, it's actually destruction that is happening, because there's large scale destruction of the natural resources and construction happening. And when the construction happens and the blasting happens, a lot of the malba that is created, one goes into the river Ganga and the other rivers, and it clogs up the rivers, and two, it's also resulted in a lot of landslides that are happening in Uttarakhand, and he mentioned that 135 landslides have happened in the recent past. So he's calling all our support to say like how to prevent the cutting of trees in Mumbai and other places. You know, people got together, they tied Rakhis around the trees. He is calling our support to say that all over India we should protest against the felling of these trees in the Gangotri region. He also drew our attention to the Char Dham project and how this is a very resource intensive project, but it has very serious implications on the destruction of the environment and the people of that place. And there are a lot of technical reports also which prove that we are doing this construction in highly sensitive earthquake prone areas. He also spoke about the struggle that women still continue to struggle to fetch water for the house, and he said there is a need to restore augment the water resources and do water conservation methods using methods that were traditionally available in the hills of Uttarakhand, and not look at any construction kind of work to augment water resources.
थैंक यू। मैं उत्तर प्रदेश से सौरभ को कहूँगा कि गंगा कैसे बिक रही है। ही कैन स्पीक। सौरभ।
I'll speak about the condition of Ganga river and the new revenue model monetization plan of Ganga from the Uttar Pradesh, from the perspective of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, I can.
Just before you, I just want to highlight what he is going to say. I'm sorry to interfere. When we had the meeting in Jodhpur, we had the Director General of this Ganga Mission, and when Rajendra Bhai said that you cannot use the Ganga, your mother, for economic wealth, he tried to clarify and say, no, we are not using the Ganga for economic wealth. We are using it to support the livelihoods of people dependent on the Ganga, namely the fisher communities and the boat community. Against that background, let us hear what Saurabh is saying.
Hello. Yeah. On 1st of January this year, a very strange thing happened on Assi Ghat in Varanasi. Assi Ghat is one of the oldest ghat in Varanasi and very famous. Lots of tourists come to Assi Ghat. On 1st January, many young people, they were drinking beer on the Assi Ghat along the Ganga river in Varanasi. People say that this has happened for the first time in memory of people, those who live in Banaras. The second point that there are now many crews moving in the Ganges river in Varanasi and other cities of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar also. On the night of 31st, there was a party, dinner, dining, wining on these crews, and many people participated. Bhaji spoke that the cultural parameters of a river. He talked about the people's participation, the civilizational issue of Ganga. Now, government has brought such a project, such a plan, that they are slowly changing the nature of Moksha Pradhani river Ganga. अभी जो गंगा की बात हुई तो सबने कहा कि छोटी रिवरों पे खतरा है, बड़ी रिवरों पे खतरा है, but in my opinion the biggest danger is on the Ganga river For Ganga River, government has not only made a revenue plan, they have a monetization plan of Ganga River. And it is such a big, huge plan. They are going to run waterways. They are going to start shipping movements in the Ganga River. Secondly, they are going to have tourism place. Not only the Ganga River, they are selling the ghats. When they came to government, they said they are going to clean the ghats. But now slowly they are selling the ghats. And these ghats are like 200 years old, 300 years old. So these kind of things are happening. They are also trying to take control of temples. They are going to start a kind of tourism which we see in Bombay, in Chowpatty. 10 cities coming up. Okay. The 10 cities coming up along the Ganga River, just across the Assi Ghat and the Dashasomit Ghat. These kind of activities are happening in Uttar Pradesh. It's not only in Uttar Pradesh, Kanpur, Banaras, Munger, Patna, Bhagalpur, everywhere it's happening. Now they say, and with the Ganga revenue model, the new revenue model, they are going to start this project with the help of tourism department. So the biggest threat is not only the river's health, it's also about the losing livelihood for fisher community, boatman community, and those who are living along the Ganga. Now, in Varanasi, there is one ghat, Krikya Ghat, which has been developed under PPP. They have built 4 helipads along the ghat, art gallery, restaurant, so many things. So many things. And the traditional boatman community and the fisher community, they were living there for almost 200 years. Now they cannot enter that ghat. Their entry is, barred from the ghat. They have put security guards there. They have put the private security guards there. They cannot allow the other people. And for people like us, for you also, when you go to that ghat, we have to buy tickets. This is all under PPP project. And the government official, when we try to talk to a government official, they said that they are building these helipads since VIPs are coming to Varanasi and other places.
जो यहाँ पर रिलीज हुई है इसमें वो केस स्टडी भी है, आप लोग जरूर पढ़ें। मैं जहां तक जानता हूं कि रिवर पार्लियामेंट्स हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है और दूसरी सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि रिसर्च के काम को सबसे ज्यादा फोकस करना पड़ेगा। डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पे बहुत बात हुई है, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में एक एक मैप को, लेकिन इन सबसे ज्यादा जो महत्वपूर्ण है वो महत्वपूर्ण है कि नदी से समाज को जोड़ने का काम, और नदी से अगर समाज को जोड़ने का काम करना तो यूथ को अलग जोड़ना पड़ेगा, किसान को अलग जोड़ना पड़ेगा, और महिलाओं की सहभागिता, बिना महिलाओं की सहभागिता के इन नदी पुनर्जीवन का काम नहीं महत्वपूर्ण हो सकता है। 5 मिनट हैं।
गंगा ओनली द 5 स्टेट फ्लोइंग, उत्तराखंड, उत्तर प्रदेश, बिहार, झारखंड एंड बंगाल। लेकिन गंगा बेसिन जो है वो 12 राज्यों में है। ये जो अगले 7 राज्य हैं वो क्या हैं? सबसे पहले राजस्थान। आज गंगा में सबसे बड़ी जमीन राजस्थान में है। फिर उसके बाद है हरियाणा, फिर उसके बाद है उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश, पंजाब का थोड़ा हिस्सा। ये जो राज्य हैं ये गंगा बेसिन के 12 राज्य हैं। मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि सब राज्य के लोग एक एक आदमी आके बोल सके, लेकिन सौरभ ने पूरी गंगा का रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं किया। उत्तर प्रदेश की बात यदि गंगा के बारे में रखनी हो तो फिर सबसे लंबी यात्रा गंगा उत्तर प्रदेश में करती है, और गंगा के साथ जितना बड़ा अन्याय उत्तर प्रदेश में हुआ है इतना कहीं नहीं हुआ। गंगा को कहते तो मां है, माई से कमाई करने के सारे धंधे यूपी में होते हैं। कहने को माई और करेंगे कमाई। तो जब अपनी मां से कमाई करने लगे, इसका अंदाज आप लोगों को लगा लेना चाहिए कि हम किस लेवल तक पहुंच रहे हैं। माई से करेंगे कमाई। दोस्तों, मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लेना चाहता, पर मुझे बहुत मन था कि मैं गंगा पर ज्यादा बहुत बातें रख सकूं, लेकिन मैं इतना बता दूं, आज हमें गंगा हिमालयन रिवर के बारे में फैसला करते हुए कुछ काम के फैसले करने की बात है। यहां से हम लोग मार्च में जो हिमालय में 2 लाख देवदार के पेड़ कटने हैं, हमारी गंगा पर संकट है, उस संकट में इस हाउस में से कितने लोग उत्तराखंड में आ सकते हैं, वो जरा सोच के, और उस लड़ाई को लड़ने के लिए देखो सबसे पहले पीटी जॉन खड़ा हुआ। यार पीटी जॉन की ताली तो बजाओ जरा। वाह वाह वाह, वंडरफुल। पीटी जॉन केरल से आता है, लेकिन देखा आपने उसका रिश्ता मां गंगा के साथ, सबसे पहले खड़ा हुआ गंगा का हाथ लेते के साथ ही। इसका मतलब गंगा भले ही यूपी में बहती हो, भले ही उत्तराखंड में बहती हो, लेकिन इस देश की आत्मा है, इस देश की माई है। इसलिए हम सब लोग पीटी जॉन से सीख सकते हैं कि कितनी तत्परता से मेरी बात खत्म होने से पहले खड़े हो गए। इसलिए उत्तराखंड में जंगलों को बचाने के लिए मार्च में हम जरा सोच लें कि कौन कौन लोग प्रत्यक्ष रूप से काम करेंगे। मैं अपने झारखंड बिहार आना चाहता हूं। बिहार में मैं 2 साथियों को बोलने का मौका दूंगा। मनोहर मानव 5 मिनट से ज्यादा मत लेना, और शाहीन 5 मिनट, तुम्हें 4 मिनट देंगे। नहीं 5 दे देते हैं, चलो कोई बात नहीं। और हाँ, वेंकटेश दत्ता कहाँ है? वाह यार, हम भूल गए। आगे आ जाओ, आगे आ जाओ, मंच पे आ जाओ। जब तुम पीछे बैठोगे तो ऐसे ही रह जाएगा, भूल जाएगा। आ जाओ, सबसे असली आदमी तो वही है बोलने वाला। आ जाओ आगे।
ओम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर रहीम। सबसे पहले मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा, इकबाल की एक शेर है, जुदा हो दीन सियासत से तो रह जाती है चंगेजी। यानी कि जो धर्म से अलग हो जाता है जो सत्ता, वो खाली हो जाता है। तो आज जो सत्ता का चरित्र है वो सत्य से अलग हो चुका है, इसलिए वो खाली दिखता है। इसलिए जरूरत इस बात की है, सबसे पहले मैं राजेंद्र भाई का शुक्रगुजार हूं जिन्होंने मुझसे परिचय कराया, मुझसे परिचय कराया। मैं शायद ऊपर चला गया था, पिछले 20-25 सालों से दूसरे तीसरे काम में लगा हुआ था, लेकिन इन्होंने मेरे अंदर की नैसर्गिकता को पहचाना और उन्होंने कहा कि तुम्हारा जन्म, तुम्हारा जीवन और तुम्हारे स्वभाव तो प्रकृति और पर्यावरण के अनुरूप है, इसलिए प्रकृति और पर्यावरण के काम में लग जाओ। तो मेरे जैसा व्यक्ति जब अस्पताल में पिछले 25 दिन के बाद जब होश आता है तो वो सीधा एक ही बात कहता है कि मेरा अब जीवन प्रकृति और पर्यावरण के लिए लगेगा, और राजेंद्र भाई को याद करते हुए ये बात मैं अपने जीवन से प्रेरणा और इस जो अभी घोषणा पत्र होने वाला है उसके साथ जोड़ने की कोशिश करूंगा। लेकिन मैं बिहार से आता हूं और बिहार में गंगा तो है ही, और गंगा के साथ कई ऐसी नदियां हैं जिसको जानना और समझना जरूरी है। आज बिहार 2 स्थितियों के लिए जाना जाता है। एक पिछड़ेपन के कारण बिहार को जानते हैं लोग, और दूसरा कि आप सब लोग जानते हैं कि बिहार में बहुत ज्यादा बाढ़ आता है। बाढ़ और सुखाड़ के कारण एक तरफ बाढ़ भी आता है और दूसरा अकाल भी पड़ता है। तो बिहार में बाढ़ सुखाड़ की जो त्रासदी है उस त्रासदी को समझना जरूरी है। और राजेंद्र भाई, मैं किसी सरकार का यहां ये बन के नहीं आया हूं, लेकिन बिहार की सरकार और कई सारे गलत काम करती हो, लेकिन आज भारत की सरकार जो जल शक्ति मंत्रालय ने काम शुरू किया है, बिहार की सरकार ने आपकी प्रेरणा से वहां पर जल जीवन हरियाली का जो कार्यक्रम किया है, वो राज और समाज का जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन है वो बहुत कायदे का वहां पे काम हुआ है। और आपके मार्गदर्शन में हम सब लोगों ने वहां बिहार संवाद यात्रा किया था। बिहार में जब हम लोग इंदिरा बहन के मार्गदर्शन में इंडियन हिमालय रिवर काउंसिल के जितनी नदियां हैं उसके साथ संवाद बातचीत कर रहे थे, विमर्श कर रहे थे, तो वहां एक बात बहुत खुल के आई। और इंदिरा बहन जूम मीटिंग में हम सब लोग बैठ के जब चर्चा कर रहे थे तो अनिल माझी जैसा व्यक्ति वो कहता है कि आज से करीब करीब 20-30 साल पहले यह त्रासदी नहीं थी। और एक बूढ़ा आदमी ये कहता है कि हमने अपनी परंपरागत ज्ञान प्रक्रिया जो है उसको छोड़ दिया है, इसलिए बिहार आज बाढ़ और सूखा का दंश झेल रहा है। निश्चित तौर पर अगर हमारा घोषणा पत्र बन रहा है तो इस बात का जरूर ख्याल रखना चाहिए। और मुझे बताकर बेहद खुशी हो रही है कि नदियों के साथ जो शाखा नदी हैं, उन शाखा नदियों को पुनर्जीवित किए बगैर हम बड़ी नदियों को अविरलता और निर्मलता की बात करते हैं तो वो बेमानी सी लगती हैं। लेकिन बिहार में सारण जिला में तेल नदी एक छोटी नदी है और बहुत दिनों से हम लोगों ने मांग किया था, उस तेल नदी का जो एक्शन प्लान है वो इंदिरा बहन को मैंने शेयर कर दिया है, वो जल सरकार ने पास कर दिया है। ये हमारे लिए सूचित करके बहुत हर्ष का विषय हो रहा है। और बिहार में आपको मैं बता दूं कि एक मेरा ही गांव टेकनिवास है, जिस टेकनिवास में 56 से 57 ऐसे पोखर बने हैं परंपरागत तरीके से, जो उस गांव के जल को समृद्ध करने के लिए बहुत जरूरी था। आज वो पोखर में पाए हैं, लेकिन हम सब लोग लगे हैं कि उन सारे पोखरों को पुनर्जीवित करने की कोशिश करें। और खास करके आप जानते हैं कि मैं उस गांधी के कर्म क्षेत्र से आ रहा हूं, उस लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण के जन्म क्षेत्र से आ रहा हूं और भारत के प्रथम राष्ट्रपति राजेंद्र प्रसाद की जन्मभूमि से आ रहा हूं। इसलिए यह बताना जरूरी हो गया है कि किस तरीके से हम सब लोगों ने वहां के पर्यावरणीय काम को आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश में लगे हुए हैं। तो वहां एक मोती झील है और उस मोती झील आज वर्षों वर्ष से अतिक्रमण का शिकार था। राजेंद्र भाई ने आवाज उठाया और आज मुझे बता के खुशी हो रही है कि मोती झील अतिक्रमण मुक्त हुआ और वहां के पानी जो है आज उसमें प्रवाहित हो रहे हैं। इसी तरह से वहां जल जीवन हरियाली का कार्यक्रम बहुत बेहतर चल रहा है और आप सब लोगों का साझा प्रयास रहा तो मैं पूरे दावे के साथ कह रहा हूं कि इंडियन हिमालय रिवर बेसिन काउंसिल और पेंसुलन रिवर काउंसिल मिलके इस देश में जो जन आधारित क्रांति है, जो जनता के आधार पर होने वाली क्रांति है, उस क्रांति के अनुरूप मुझे तो राजेंद्र भाई आपसे बहुत प्रेरणा मिल रही है। इस बात से प्रेरणा मिल रही है कि राजेंद्र भाई जैसा व्यक्ति अगर पर्यावरण का व्यक्ति नहीं होता तो सुबह के सत्र में उन्होंने कहा कि हजारों हमारे कोर्ट के ऑर्डर पेंडिंग पड़े हैं, लेकिन एक दिन किसी पूंजीपतियों का ऑर्डर निकल जाता है, सुबह उसको इंप्लीमेंट हो जाता है। राजेंद्र भाई, इसलिए हम आपको अपने जीवन के लिए प्रेरणा का पुरुष मानते हैं कि सच्चाई से बिल्कुल विमुख नहीं होते हैं। और इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आप सब लोगों से विदा लेने के पहले, पीड़ पर्वत सी हो गई है, अब हिमालय से गंगा निकलनी चाहिए। मेरे सीने में न सही, आप सबके सीने में ही सही, हो कहीं आग, लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए, आग जलनी चाहिए। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आप सब लोगों से विदा लेने के पहले प्रकाश राव जी का पुनः आभार, अभिनंदन कि आप सब लोगों ने हैदराबाद में अवसर दिया। धन्यवाद। जय जगत, नमस्कार, प्रणाम।
इसको ट्रांसलेट करेंगी इंदिरा बहन कीवर्ड्स में।
I will try to put that passion of what he said. So, couple of things he said, that he got a rebirth. He was. Nahi chahiye? We are all good. Okay, so I will just say 2-3 minutes. Let everybody understand. So what he said is he kind of got a rebirth, and Rajendra Bhai told him that you have got a rebirth to devote your life to nature and to the environment, and that is what he is now doing under the guidance of Bhaiji. He also said that it's unfortunate that Bihar is known for poverty, backwardness, and also for the floods and the drought that happens in that state. And he also wanted to draw attention to a very good program that is started by the Bihar state government under the suggestion of Rajendra Bhai, which is the Jal Jeevan and Haryali program, which is now yielding results. He also informed about Moti Jheel over there, which has now become encroachment free, again under the guidance and the encouragement of Rajendra Bhai. And what he spoke about is that the floods that are happening in the state in the last 3 decades, that was not how the floods used to be in the state earlier. People had learned how to live with the floods, and there was traditional practices that was followed, and now there is a need perhaps to relook at those practices. He also stressed the importance of the rejuvenation of small streams which feed into the larger rivers, and he cited the example of Tel Nadi, where he has been working with the state government and asking them to look at rejuvenation of Tel Nadi, so that the project is now done by the project report is prepared, and now work will be beginning on that with the support of NREGA funds. And he also spoke about another. So when we had one of our web discussions, there was a person called Jitendra from Gopalganj, and he spoke in his traditionally Maithili bhasha ke, you know, we have this nadi called Chadi Nadi in Gopalganj. He said it has become a kachra ka garbage, the river has dried, it's garbage dump now. When we have a Chhat festival and we give this thing to Shiv God, you know, we give dirty water. Why cannot we revive this small river so that at least when we pay obeisance to God, we will do that with clean water. So I think I've covered most of the points that he said. We need, when our manifesto, we need to look at the issue of floods and droughts that happen in states like Bihar. Thank you.
मुझे हिमालयन रिवर 18 मिनट में कंप्लीट करनी है, इसलिए मेरी थोड़ी लिमिटेशन है। मैं वेंकटेश दत्ता से सीधे कहूंगा कि वो अंग्रेजी में कीवर्ड्स में अपनी बात जरा अच्छे से पूरी गंगा की रख दें तो अच्छा होगा। वेंकटेश दत्ता वो बात में करेंगे, वो गंगा के बारे में बोल रही है। No, you are not.
Thank you much. I come from Gomti River catchment. Gomti is a tributary of the Ganges. It is 960-kilometer long river, but there was no record of its length in the revenue. When I started river journey way back in 2009, the river length was recorded as 760 kilometer. I took the satellite pictures and we decided to start from the origin of the river to the confluence of the Ganges. And this river is a very big river. But in the revenue record, the tributaries were ignored. The smaller rivers were ignored. The connected water bodies were ignored. So when we talk about the river, we should talk about the connected landscape in totality with a river basin perspective. And water doesn't respect the administrative boundary. We have made district boundary, block boundaries, but rivers have no boundaries. And the biggest rivers of the world flows underneath. The groundwater is the biggest river that you don't see. It is the groundwater that sustains the river flow in the lean season. Gomti River, it doesn't get even a single drop of water from the Himalayas, from the snowmelt. It is a plain fed river. So what we did, I took the group of 22 scholars, students, and without any funding, not a single rupee we took from any source, we decided to be close to the river. For 8 days we walked 960 kilometers and we recorded 27 tributaries which were mentioned as drain number 42, drain number 16, and remember they had names. They had names, but I don't know if you see the British archives, some of the older maps, they do have names, but it is due to the irrigation department, the water resource department, because they should get funding. The moment you have drained, you can get big chunk of money to restore it. And the biggest restoration policies, just leave the river aside. नदी को अपने आप छोड़ दो, नदी सही हो जाएगी. Every 14 days, river cleanses herself, and during the monsoon, it is the peak flow that cleanses the river. It is called flushing flow. A flushing flow cleanses the river without any funding, without any support, and that is how your Ganga, biggest delta, the freshwater delta, Sundarban delta, came because of the sediment that was brought from the Himalayas downstream to the Sundarban delta, and Sundarban delta is the UNESCO heritage site. But what we have done, we have fragmented the habitat. So many dams, so many hydropower schemes, so many barrages. And the irrigation department, they look river as a canal. They look right bank and the left bank as same. Whereas our two hands, they look same, but they perform different functions. We have concave side, convex side. For example, Banaras is situated on the concave side. And the convex side is the deposition of sediments. But in the convex side, you started making a channel. And this channel was destroyed in just one monsoon. So we must understand the science of the river, the fluvial science. And nowhere in India we are teaching fluvial science. We are teaching water resource development. Nobody is teaching how to bring back water to our rivers. Nobody is teaching how to connect the landscape with the rivers. All the wetlands, ponds, lakes, they were part of the river systems. During the floods, they will swell up, and the water from the ponds and the wetlands would jump to the river, and that is how the biodiversity was maintained. But now we have fragmented, we have made corridors, national highways. Then we have projects like Green Corridor. We name it Green Corridor, but when you examine, it is on the river. It is blocking the river, wetlands. So friends, I will not take much time, but with this manifesto, we have to earmark the land of the river. नदी को अपनी जमीन वापस करो सबसे पहले. Just like railways ने अपने जमीन को पिलर लगा के protect किया है. Can't we do that? It's a river's land. But the biggest tragedy is that who owns the river in India? It is unanswered. Nobody knows who owns the river. If you go to irrigation department, they'll say, okay, I only look after the discharge. Go to the land revenue department. Land revenue department, okay, you want to see the bank, go to the horticulture department, go to agriculture. Nobody owns the river in totality. So we must have river basin councils, and that to community should be the honor. The family should be honor. Water cannot be traded in the market. Water is a human right good. And what we learned, that you cannot restore the river with money. पैसे से नदी साफ नहीं होगी, passion से साफ होगा. Passion, जो हमारे अंदर drive है. And when we started this river journey way back in 2011, Rajendra Bhai was also part of this journey. We followed a model, and I call it Gyan Ganga. First of all, you should understand the river. And if you want to understand the river, take a river journey. नदी के साथ आपको चलना होगा पैदल. जहाँ पे confluence है, जहाँ पे नदियाँ मिलती है, you have to be there. All the confluence, all the origin, we call it Gyan Ganga. And second is Dhyan Ganga. You must come back to your lab, to your institution, draw maps, take the satellite pictures, the topo sheets. You have 1968 Corona satellite image. I have 2-meter resolution pictures of all rivers of India, and they are sitting there in the in the American Texas University archives. You can just get it free of cost. और जो तीसरी बात है करुणा गंगा, कंपैशन. कंपैशन मीन्स नदी को अगर ठीक करना है तो बिना करुणा से काम नहीं होगा. कंपैशन. आप टेक्नोलॉजी लाके, एसटीपी लगा के, दीवार रिवर फ्रंट लगा के नदी को साफ नहीं कर सकते हैं. नदी को अगर ठीक करना है तो नेचर बेस्ड सॉल्यूशन. नो कंक्रीट, नो स्टील, ओनली जैसे सुरेश भाई बता रहे थे, स्टोन पिचिंग करके वी हैव रिस्टोर्ड द रिवर. We have restored many wetlands without a single rupee. It is only the intervention of the community. The biggest restoration is done by the nature, and that I call it Karuna Ganga. And last में जो सामर्थ्य गंगा है, that is the action, the implementation part of your plan. जो manifesto बनाएंगे, तो we have to realize that we have to work with the communities, but with the government also. We have to maintain a good synergy with the government. We have to pinpoint where they are doing mistakes, but in a language which is understood, which is modest. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, हम चेतावनी तो देते हैं लेकिन प्यार से समझाते हैं. लेकिन जब tipping point, when it crosses the tipping point, then we have to take some drastic step. जैसे भी नदियों के साथ हो रहा है कि नदी अपनी जमीन के लिए तरस रही है. So we have recorded all the tributaries. We have fought in the NGT. We have challenged the land revenue records, and we said that it is not drain number 26, it is Akraddi Nadi, it is Kadu Nadi, it is Behta Nadi. Many people even forget in their backyard there used to be a river. तो सबसे पहले हमारे जेहन के अंदर नदी बहाइए, और जो मैंने 4 चीजें बताई है, ज्ञान गंगा, ध्यान गंगा, करुणा गंगा एंड सामर्थ्य गंगा, इसमें एक भी पैसा नहीं लगने का है. So we have to evolve our own indigenous model of restoration. हम लोग बहुत ज्यादा वेस्टर्न कॉपी करते हैं कि गंगा पे क्रूज चला दिया, अभी बताया ना, बियर और वो सब होने लगा, अटैक हुआ ना. रिवर फ्रंट, हमारे पास घाट थे. कल्चरल मेमोरी वी हैव इरेज्ड बाय कंस्ट्रक्टिंग रिवर फ्रंट एंड घाट्स, कंक्रीट घाट्स. नोबडी कैन डू छठ पूजा. छठ पूजा जाएंगे वहां डूब जाएंगे, इतना ड्रेजिंग किया. लखनऊ में गोमती रिवर फ्रंट 16 मीटर की दीवार दोनों तरफ दे हैव कंस्ट्रक्टेड. 16 meter, 10 meter it goes underneath, and 6 meter on the top of the river bed. And that is huge diaphragm wall with 32 mm dia concrete, this iron, and a huge structure that even base flows, the flow that comes from the groundwater cannot meet to the river. Thank you so much. So I'll, thank you.
Wonderful speech. किसी एक धर्म की है कि सब धर्मों की है? गंगा कोई नदी किसी एक धर्म की होती है कि सब धर्मों की होती है? तो जरा साइन, बिहार से आए हैं, साइन बोलेंगे. साइन माइक ले लो भाई.
हमारे मनोहर मानव जी ने जब अपनी बात शुरू की थी तो उन्होंने ओम और बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ा था, और चूंकि हम, आवाज जा रही है मेरी? हमारे मनोहर मानव जी ने जब अपनी बात शुरू की थी तो उन्होंने ओम और बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ा था. तो मैं चूंकि हर धर्म की बात की जो की है हमारे भाई जी ने, तो मैं चाहता हूं कि अपने बात की भी शुरुआत मैं गायत्री मंत्र से करूं. ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. मेरे गायत्री मंत्र पढ़ने से ही आप समझ गए होंगे कि जब ये गायत्री मंत्र सिर्फ एक समुदाय की नहीं है, ये मेरी भी है. तो इसी तरह गंगा और जमुना ये किसी एक समुदाय का नहीं है, बल्कि दुनिया में बसने वाले जितने लोग हैं, वो चाहे जिस रूप से भी वो खुदा को याद करते हैं, अपने परमात्मा को याद करते हैं, अपने मजहब को मानते हैं, वो जरूर पानी की अहमियत को, पानी के महत्व को, नदियों के महत्व को वो जरूर जानते हैं। इसीलिए मेरा जो मानना है वो ये है कि पानी को बचाना, नदियों को बचाना, पर्यावरण की रक्षा और सुरक्षा करना, ये सिर्फ एक सामाजिक काम नहीं है बल्कि ये धार्मिक काम भी है। ये सिर्फ एक समाज का काम नहीं है बल्कि ये एक इबादत भी है, एक पूजा भी है और एक ऐसा धर्म का काम है जिससे सिर्फ ये कि मानव खुश नहीं होता है बल्कि खुदा भी खुश होता है। नदियों का जो पैगाम है, नदियों का जो संदेश है, वो संदेश ये है कि जब 1375 किलोमीटर दूर जाकर प्रयागराज में, उत्तर प्रदेश के प्रयागराज में जब गंगा और जमुना दोनों मिलती हैं तो वहाँ से एक संस्कृति का जन्म होता है और उसको कहते हैं गंगा और जमुना संस्कृति। गंगा और जमुना संस्कृति ये एक संदेश देती है, एक पैगाम देती है कि इस देश के अंदर जो रहने वाले हैं, वो चाहे हिंदू हैं, मुसलमान हैं, सब मिलजुल कर इस देश को और यहाँ की नदियों का और यहाँ की पानी की हिफाजत करेंगे। इसलिए पानी को बचाना, नदियों को बचाना, यहाँ के पर्यावरण की रक्षा और सुरक्षा करना हमारा एक धार्मिक और एक मजहबी काम है और ये हमारी इबादत है। इसी इबादत को पूरा करने के लिए हमने 2021 में मार्च से लेकर अप्रैल तक भाई जी की क़यादत में, यानी उनके मार्गदर्शन में, पानी पर्यावरण मेवाड़ संवाद यात्रा निकाला था और उसमें उसका सबसे जो महत्वपूर्ण जो उसका एंगल था वो ये था कि हमने वहाँ के सारे जो मजहबी संस्थान हैं, जो मस्जिद हैं, जो मदरसे हैं, उन सब को हमने जोड़ने की कोशिश किया था। हमारे इब्राहिम भाई यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं और सागवान साहब यहाँ पर है। इन सब के साथ मिलकर एक बड़ा काम हुआ था वहाँ पर कि उन लोगों में एक पर्यावरण के लिए, पानी के लिए, आप जानते हैं मेवात का जो एरिया है, ये राजस्थान में और यूपी में ये सब, और दिल्ली में जो मेवात का एरिया है उसके अंदर पानी की बहुत कमी है। हमारी यहाँ पर बहन जो बैठी हुई हैं इंदिरा खुराना जी, मैं जानता हूँ कि वहाँ पर जब मैं शाहीन बाग में रहता हूँ दिल्ली के, वहाँ पर जब मैं आया था 2007 में तो वहाँ पर पानी का लेवल 17 फीट पर पानी था और आज वहाँ पर 10 सालों के अंदर पानी का लेवल जो है 90 फीट पर जा चुका है। तो कितना ज़्यादा जो निर्माण का काम हुआ है नोएडा में और दिल्ली के आसपास, और वहाँ पर जो पानी की जितनी ज़्यादा कमी हो रही है, जल स्रोत जिस तरह से घटते जा रहे हैं, उन सब पर काम करने की ज़रूरत है। और यह काम करने की इसलिए भी ज़रूरत है कि यह हम सबका एक मजहबी दायित्व भी है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद।
मैं झारखंड से रंजीत को बुलाना चाहता हूँ। रंजीत, थोड़ा समय कम है लेकिन 5 मिनट में तुम्हें सुने बिना हमारी हिमालय रिवर का काम अधूरा रह जाएगा। मैं प्रकाश राव से कहूंगा, प्रकाश राव 5 मिनट और ज़्यादा चाहिएंगी हमें, क्योंकि इंदिरा जी को भी थोड़ा बोलना है और मुझे भी बोलना है। मैं रंजीव से कहूंगा, रंजीव झारखंड के बारे में संक्षिप्त में थोड़ा जल्दी से रख दें। देखिए दोस्तों, ये जो हिमालयन रिवर है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सिस्टम है। इस सिस्टम को समझना और इस सिस्टम की कल्चरल जो इम्पोर्टेंस है उसको जानना इस सेशन में जरूरी है। रंजीव।
थैंक यू। जल और नदी के जितने भी यहाँ पे उपस्थित हमारे मार्गदर्शक, हमारे शुभचिंतक और जितने भी यहाँ पे उपस्थित हमारे विभिन्न राज्यों से आए हुए हैं समूह को झारखंड से जोहार। I am very much privileged being here, one of the participants in the National Convention on River. I thank you all managing this contemporary convention for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. No doubt, rivers are the backbone of human civilization, and this convention aims at saving such grand civilization of ours. I am here to discuss my idea on policy framework, public participation, responsibility, and government and citizen on river Ganga. गंगा नदी, कुछ सजेशन सर। गंगा नदी आज के अगर हम झारखंड की बात करें, जो साहेबगंज में मात्र एक गंगा बहती है, वह एक मृत प्राय के स्थिति में है। मैं उसमें नहीं जाना चाहूंगा कि यहाँ चुनौतियां क्या हैं, समस्याएं क्या हैं। मैं उनका सोल्यूशन देना चाहूंगा कि चाहिए क्या गवर्नमेंट को या सिविल सोसाइटी को या एक समाज के एक प्रबुद्ध नागरिक को। पहला, जो फरक्का बैरेज है जिसके कारण सिलिटेशन हो रहा है, गाद, वो सबसे बड़ी समस्या है, जिसके कारण कि वहाँ के जो बेड है वह धीरे धीरे बढ़ता जा रहा है। वहाँ पे सिलिटेशन के कारण जो उसका गहराई है वह कम होता चला जा रहा है, और जिसके कारण वहाँ पे काफ़ी संख्या बराबर वहाँ पे बाढ़ आ रहे हैं। दूसरा सजेशन मेरा है कि उसमें कम से कम साल में 2 बार उसकी सफाई होनी चाहिए गाद की, या तो फिर बैरेज को हटाए, जो कि नामुमकिन लगता है, बट हम लोग उसमें क्या कर सकते हैं, तो कम से कम 2 बार उसकी साल में सफाई हो, ताकि। तीसरा, जो लोकल वहाँ पे है, एक रामपुर दियारा करके वहाँ पे एक मुहाना है, जहाँ पर कि जो गंगा हमारा जो मेन स्ट्रीम है वह शिफ्ट कर जा रही है 10 साल 12 साल के बाद। उस मुहाने को कहीं न कहीं ड्रेनेज के माध्यम से उसको सफाई होनी चाहिए। मैंने उपायुक्त महोदय जो डीसी हैं उनके भी मैंने इससे और ध्यान आकर्षण किया है। तीसरा है कि जो वहाँ पे मोटर जो हमारे नाव चलती है, नाविक जो हमारे हैं जो वहाँ नाव चलाती हैं, चूँकि हम जानते हैं कि झारखंड का साहेबगंज वहाँ माइनिंग एरिया है, वहाँ पे जो हार्ड रॉक है हमारा है बेसॉल्ट, उसका वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा माइनिंग होती है, और वो ट्रैफिकिंग का कारण, स्टोन ट्रैफिकिंग के कारण वहाँ पे काफ़ी संख्या में वहाँ पे नाविक लोग नाव लेकर के बांग्लादेश तक या फिर बिहार तक लेके जाते हैं, और उसमें जो बोट में जो पंखे लगे जाते हैं और वो ट्रक के होते हैं, और उसमें जो मोबिल बहुत पुरानी होती है, जिसके कारण कि उसमें गंगा में वो मोबिल और हमारे तेल चले जाते हैं, जिसके कारण कि जो ऑक्सीजन मिलना चाहिए जो जलीय जीव में वो नहीं मिल पाता है, जिसके कारण कि। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि वहाँ पे डॉल्फिन हमारा मिलता है, जो कि हमारे लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। वहाँ पे जो 83 किलोमीटर का हमारा झारखंड में गंगा सच है, जहाँ पे कि डॉल्फिन मिलती है, और वो कहीं न कहीं उस पंखे में टकरा कर वह कहीं न कहीं बेमौत मरी जाती है। उसको बचाने के लिए हमको लगता है कि उस पर विचार करना चाहिए। तीसरा जो पॉइंट हमारा है कि गंगा मार्ग से मिट्टी का जो ढलाई होता है, वहाँ पे अगल बगल कोई भी शौचालय नहीं बनी हुई है, जिसके हजारों मजदूर वहाँ पे काम करते हैं। तो स्वच्छता का जो बात करते हैं हम, तो वहाँ कहीं न कहीं शौचालय नहीं है, तो इस पे भी विचार करनी चाहिए कि वहाँ पे ऐसा क्या करा जाए ताकि इस तरह की चीज़ों को नहीं हो। चौथा चीज़ है वहाँ पे कि वहाँ पे मछुआरे एजुकेटेड नहीं है, मछुआरे को एजुकेट करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि छोटी मछलियाँ नेट के जाल से वहाँ पे मछलियाँ मारी जाती है, जिसके कारण कि जो बड़ी मछलियाँ या डॉल्फिन है वह कहीं न कहीं उसके आश्रित रहती है छोटी मछलियाँ पे, तो उस पर रोक लगे। जो हमारा महत्वपूर्ण है कि वहाँ पे एक रिसर्च का, चूँकि झारखंड के साहेबगंज में कि उसका प्रोटेक्शन के लिए, उसका कंजर्वेशन के लिए उसके रिसर्च के एक सेंटर बनाई जाए, ताकि वहाँ पे जो हमारा विभिन्न तरह के जो होते हैं वहाँ पे घटनाएं उसको रोकी जा सके।
तुमने जो पर्चा लिखा है इंदिरा बहन को दे दो, थोड़ा टाइम का कंस्ट्रेंट है इसलिए मैं क्षमा। अच्छा,
बस 2 लाइन, चूंकि वहाँ पे मैं बस 2 लाइन करना चाहूँगा। चूंकि मैं जियोलॉजी का छात्र हूँ, तो वहाँ पे माइनिंग के कारण वहाँ पे जो पर्यावरण, और दूसरा है कि जो माइनिंग के कारण ओवरबर्डन होता है, वो सारे बारिश के कारण वो सारा लीचिंग करके हमारे गंगा में आ जाती है, जिसके कारण आर्सेनिक और फ्लोराइड सबसे ज़्यादा मात्रा में हमारे एरियाज में पाए जाते हैं। जो गंगेटिक हमारा बेल्ट है उसमें लोग ज़्यादा परेशान है। ट्राइबल एरिया है, ट्राइबल के कारण वहाँ पे ट्राइबल एरिया में जितने भी हमारे ट्रेडिशनल जो हमारे जल स्रोत हैं, जो ट्रेडिशनल हमारा वाटर सोर्स है, वह कहीं न कहीं वह डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है। उसको भी हमको लगता है इसमें डालनी चाहिए, ताकि हमारा जो ट्रेडिशनल हमारा स्रोत है, जो अगर हम बात करें नदी, हमारे कुआं की बात करें या फिर वेटलैंड की बात करें, वहाँ हमारे 2-3 वेटलैंड है, उसके लिए मैंने प्रपोजल भी डीएफओ को दिया है। तो ये सब चीजें मैं कुछ और लिखाऊं सर, मैं आपसे शेयर करूंगा। बोलने के लिए मौका दिया, इसके लिए मैं
थैंक यू वेरी मच,
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
दोस्तों, मैं केवल 8 मिनट मांग रहा हूं, इस 8 मिनट में से 1 मिनट हरियाणा को देना चाहता हूं। ये कुछ कहना चाहते हैं राजकुमार सागवान, 1 मिनट से ज्यादा नहीं। यही बोल दो, अच्छा वहां बोल दे, आजा, वो माइक चलता नहीं है। दोस्तों, हमारे जो देश भर के लोग बैठे हैं, तमिल तेलुगु की भाषा को ज़्यादा समझते हैं, उनकी तेलुगु हिंदी वालों को समझनी है। अब जितने हिंदी वाले यहाँ बैठे हैं, जब पेनिनसुलर रिवर का डिस्कशन होगा तो जिस तरह तमिल, तेलुगु, मलयाली और कन्नड़ इन सब ने हमें सुना है, वैसे ही हिंदी वाले भी उनको ध्यान से, प्यार से, सम्मान सहित उतनी ही देर सुनेंगे। ये प्यार, ये दोस्ताना, भाषा किसी की नहीं होती, भाषा और नदियां सबकी होती हैं, इसलिए हम सब एक होकर सब भाषाओं का सम्मान करते हैं। थैंक यू राजकुमार।
सम्मानित मंच और रेस्पेक्टेड ऑडियंस, हमने तो राजेंद्र भाई जी के मार्गदर्शन में बहन इंदिरा जी के लेख वगैरह पढ़ के 2 किताबें लिखी थी। तो नदियों के ऊपर जो भूमिका बनाई, मैं 1 मिनट का मुझे समय मिला है। हमारी जो नदियाँ द मदर ऑफ सिविलाइजेशन, सभ्यताओं की जननी, हजारों वर्ष पहले मनुष्य ने विकास के जो बीज इन किनारों के आसपास बोए थे, वे न केवल उगे और फले फूले, बल्कि आज इतने विस्तृत हो गए हैं कि उन्हें संभालना कठिन हो रहा है। किनारों के आसपास का ये विशाल क्षेत्र इतना उपजाऊ है कि यहाँ जो कुछ भी बोया वही लहलाने लगा। हृदय इतना महान है कि कक्कड़ और पत्थर भी बोए तो गगनचुंबी इमारतें खड़ी हो गई। आग और धुआं बोया तो बड़े बड़े कारखाने स्थापित हो गए। अब ये विकास इतना भारी हो गया है कि जड़ें बोनी पड़ गई हैं। मानव सभ्यता के विकास का ये विशाल वटवृक्ष कभी भी धराशायी हो सकता है। जिन किनारों की कठोर मिट्टी ने इनकी जड़ों को थामा और उनके बीच बहने वाली जीवन धारा से प्राण पाकर इतना बड़ा हुआ, उसी पर गिरकर उसका ही अस्तित्व मिटा देने को आतुर हो गया है। शेष बचेंगे तो अवशेष। फिर हजारों वर्ष बाद कोई पुरातत्ववेत्ता इन्हें देखकर किसी प्राचीन सभ्यता के नाम से पुकारेगा और वह गंगा घाटी की सभ्यता भी हो सकती है। जिन नदियों ने हजारों वर्षों से मानव सभ्यता को अपनी गोद में खिलाया, लोरियां सुनाई और अपनी उंगली थमाकर विकास के पथ पर दौड़ना सिखाया।
राजकुमार,
माँ का
इसको,
दर्जा
इसको हम पढ़ लेंगे, हमें दे दो तुम। चलो आ जाओ, टाइम का जरा दिक्कत है।
मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि जो हमारी धार्मिक कुछ परंपराएं, मान्यता हैं, हमारे ऋषि मुनियों ने जो ज्ञान पाया, जो शास्त्र लिखे, वो प्रकृति में नदियों के किनारे, झीलों पे, तालाबों के किनारे बैठ के लिखे। हमारा देश, हमारे ऋषि मुनि धार्मिक नहीं, आध्यात्मिक थे। हम आध्यात्मिक गुरु
जो भी है, और
अध्यात्म वो होता है जो प्रकृति से जुड़ा होता है। आज हमें फिर ये कहना पड़ेगा, ये स्वर्ग और नरक की परिभाषा शायद बदलनी पड़े कि हम नदियों को गंदा करेंगे तो स्वर्ग भी नहीं, नरक में जाएंगे। मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ।
दोस्तों, ये हिमालयन रिवर काउंसिल का काम पूरा नहीं हो पा रहा है, हमारे नॉर्थ ईस्ट के साथी भी नहीं बोल पा रहे हैं, लेकिन हम इस सेशन को यहाँ रोकेंगे और पेनिनसुलर रिवर में आएंगे। 6 मिनट में हमारी जो इस सेशन की अध्यक्षता कर रही है इंदिरा कुछ बोले, लेकिन नॉर्थ ईस्ट से आई जूबी, वो जरा 2-3 मिनट में अपनी कुछ बात कह देगी तो अच्छा होगा। तुम्हें हम कितने सालों के बाद देख रहे हैं, अचानक यहाँ, अरे वाह, आइए आइए आइए। 5 मिनट तुम्हारे लिए। देखो प्रकाश राव ने कितनी दूर से
Namaste everybody. Today I'm. This is the mic. You can use this mic. Okay. Today I won't take much time to talk on topography of the river, but I would just like to highlight some points on the problems that Northeast is facing, especially the Brahmaputra river basin is facing. When we talk about Northeast, we directly connect ourselves to the beauty of nature out there. There are springs, there are rivers, but today the reality is not same. Today springs are dying there, rivers are dying, and also the people are suffering. Focusing on the highlights of the problems, main problem is flood out there, and why this flood is happening. I do understand there are a lot of issues because of siltation and earthquake, which is actually increasing the height of the river. But also there are a lot of man-made intervention which is causing many problems to the rivers of Northeast. First thing is the rivers are dying because many the places are riverbank erosion. 40% of Assam is already underwater, and 60% of the Majuli, which is the largest river base, largest island, is already underwater. Only 40% is left, which might go in next 100 years. So this challenge, there is, we say Northeast has high potential of hydropower project, but the other side of the reality also we should see. Today, Luktak in Manipur, there is a national forest which is known as the floating national forest is dying. The ecosystem there is fully disturbed. Fishes are disappearing, greens are disappearing. A unique deer is already endangered there. Around 8 million trees and 4 million bamboo groves has already extended in the region of Mizoram. So I feel that these are the main challenges of Northeast. Springs are dying in Arunachal Pradesh. 200 springs has already disappeared. So today I am here not to take much time by saying about the problems, but I am addressing the problem because I feel hoping for a solution for the current problems in our journey of river rejuvenations and conservation by bringing lives to the river. As we know, river brings life, and rejuvenation cannot happen without with going against nature, but we should work with nature and find solutions for rivers. Thank you. And my name is Jubi. I come from Assam.
मैं तो एक नदी और पानी का विद्यार्थी हूं। मैंने नदियां जिंदा की हैं, बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे तालाबों के लिए काम करने के साथ इस बात की यहां पे तस्दीक देना चाहूंगा कि सबसे ज्यादा जो महत्वपूर्ण बात है वो महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि लॉ, यहां के जो भारत सरकार ने लॉ भी बनने की बात हो रहे हैं। अभी हाल के दिनों में जो कानून है, नमामि गंगे इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट, नमामि गंगे के बाद तमाम तरह के प्रोजेक्ट, लेकिन हमारे मैनिफेस्टो में जो चीजें आ रही है, भारत में इस समय एक रिवर कंजर्वेशन के ऊपर एक इमीडिएट एक पॉलिसी आने की जरूरत है, और हमें लगता है कि हमारा जो ग्रुप है वो उस पॉलिसी के निर्माण के लिए काम करेगा। अगर पॉलिसी आएगी तो पॉलिसी के प्रकाश में, उसके आलोक में हम नदियों को बचाने का काम कर सकते हैं। मैं अपनी बात कहने से पहले यहां पर जैसे फॉर्मर डीजीपी यूपी महेंद्र मोदी जी थे, उन्होंने जो मॉडल्स दिखाए थे, इस तरह के मॉडल्स की भी नदियों के पुनर्जीवन में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण आवश्यकता होगी। इसी के साथ मैं अपनी बात खत्म करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
माइक लेके जाते हो तो मुझे दो। संजय ने 3 खास बातें कही मैनिफेस्टो की दृष्टि से। यदि हम नदी के बारे में सोचते हैं तो सबसे पहले नदी की आजादी की बात थी, अविरलता, कॉन्टिन्यूअस फ्लो, निर्मलता, क्लीन फ्लो। इसको अंग्रेजी में एनवायरमेंटल फ्लो कहते हैं, इकोलॉजिकल फ्लो कहते हैं। तो हमें यदि नदी की लाइफ की बात करनी है, मैनिफेस्टो की बात करनी है, तो एनवायरमेंटल फ्लो इंश्योर करने ही होंगे। बड़े बांध नदियों के एनवायरमेंटल फ्लो को छीन रहे हैं। दूसरी बात उसने ये कहा कि भाई जब तक छोटी नदियां जिंदा नहीं होगी तब तक बड़ी नदी जिंदा नहीं हो सकती। तो यदि रिवर मैनिफेस्टो बना रहे हो तो छोटी नदियों को रिजुनेट करने का भी सोचना ही पड़ेगा। तीसरी इंपॉर्टेंट बात ये की कि ये डरने की बात नहीं है कि नदी का काम बहुत बड़ा है। कोई एक लड़की भी कर सकती है, छोटी सी लड़की। लेकिन तुम जानते हो आप जियोग्राफी को जल्दी चेंज नहीं कर सकते, इतिहास को चेंज कर सकते हो. यू कैन चेंज हिस्ट्री इन ए आवर्स, बट इफ यू आर चेंजिंग द जियोग्राफी, सो यू आर टेकिंग ईयर्स. सो ये जो 3 चीज हैं टाइम की, नदी को ओरिजिनेट करने के लिए हम लोगों को अपने ऊपर डिसिप्लिन और टाइम देखना पड़ेगा. नदियों को जिंदा करने के लिए नदियों का राइट देखना पड़ेगा. नदियों को जिंदा करने के लिए हमें एक्शन करना पड़ेगा. मैं तुरंत बुलाता हूं स्नेहल दोंडे, बंगाल से आई हैं. ये जरा बताएं कि नदियों के लिए क्या मैनिफेस्टो में लाना जरूरी है. स्नेहल दोंडे.
गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन. मैं उस स्टेट से आती हूँ जहाँ पर बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर जैसे लोग मास्क निकालने को बोला, सो आई एम रिमूविंग मास्क. बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर जैसे महापुरुष आते हैं और जिन्होंने पायनियर किया था नेशनल वाटर रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट के लिए 1942 से 1946 तक वाइसरॉय के ज़माने में उनके कमेटी में रहकर. लेकिन इतने बड़े महापुरुष के उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के होते हुए भी और उसी स्टेट से बिलोंग करते हुए मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ कि हम लोग वहाँ पर मेजर जो डैम्स बन रहे हैं उससे हम जूझ रहे हैं और सारी नदियों का जो शोषण हो रहा है और उसमें जो पोल्यूशन है उससे. तो इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी मैनिफेस्टो में कि जो हमारे महाराष्ट्र में ज़्यादा करके इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉरपोरेशन को नदी की जो बैंक पर सारे इंडस्ट्रीज को आने के लिए अलाउ किया जा रहा है और इसी सेंसिटिव जोन्स पर इंडस्ट्रीज को बनाया जा रहा है, तो इसको कहीं ना कहीं रोकना पड़ेगा. इसको रेस्ट्रिक्शन किए सिवाय चलेगा नहीं, क्योंकि फिर पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड कहती है कि पहले MIDC को बताओ, महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन को बोलो कि पहले ये बंद करे और बाद में हमको पूछे. तो ये जो रोलिंग ऑफ स्टोन है ये फिर बंद होगा जब तक कि हम लोग इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन को रोकते नहीं है कि नदियों के किनारे पे इस तरीके का इंडस्ट्री बनाने के लिए देने का परवानगी बंद न करें. दूसरा है कि पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड, इसको भी बहुत अकाउंटेबल बनाना पड़ेगा. ये पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड की बिल्कुल अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है, जिस वजह से बहुत नदियां पोल्यूट हो रही है. मैं वहां पर महाराष्ट्र में कामवारी नदी भिवंडी जो थाना डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आती है, वहां पर यूनिट्स हैं जो टेक्सटाइल यूनिट्स हैं, उसका पूरा पोल्यूशन है. और उससे एक छोटी नदी जो कि उल्लास नदी की ट्रिब्यूटरी है वो बिल्कुल ड्राई होती जा रही है और बिल्कुल प्रदूषित हो गई है. ग्राउंड वाटर भी प्रदूषित हो गई है. तो उस पर लड़ रही हूँ. इसीलिए मैं आपसे मैनिफेस्टो में रखना चाहती हूँ कि इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन को बिल्कुल भी नदी के किनारे में इंडस्ट्री करने का अलाउ ना किया जाए, वो पॉलिसी ना रखा जाए और MPCB को अकाउंटेबल. दूसरा है कि जो ग्राम सभा, जो नदी की जो बेसिस पे जो ग्राम सभा है उसको पूरी तरह से स्ट्रेंथनिंग करना, क्योंकि अभी वहाँ पर जब मैं गोवा को भी लीड कर रही हूँ IPBRC के अंडर में, तो मैं गोवा को जब लीड कर रही थी तो मैंने वहाँ पे जाने के बाद में ट्रांसबाउंड्री इशू नदी का, तेरेकोल नदी, छाफोरा नदी, ऐसे नदियों का जो ट्रांसबाउंड्री इश्यूज है उसके तहत मैं जब महाराष्ट्र में पहुंची डोडा मार्ग रीजन में, वहाँ मुझे पता चला जो खड़शी नदी है उस पर पूरी तरह से जो MIDC है जिसका मैंने अभी जिक्र किया, महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन, जिसका कि अलाउड भी नहीं है कि कोई इंडस्ट्री कोई बंधारा या बांध बनाए नदी के ऊपर, फिर भी वो इंडस्ट्री बना रही है. और जबकि ये जल जीवन प्राधिकरण का काम है, ये रुकना चाहिए. तो अब ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि जो गोवा और महाराष्ट्र के लोग दोनों एक हो चुके हैं और वो नहीं चाहते हैं कि नदी के ऊपर किसी भी तरीके का बंधारा बने, क्योंकि अगर नदी का प्रॉब्लम है कि उसको बहाव देना, उसको फ्लो देना है, उसको हमको अगर उसकी ब्लॉकेज ठीक करना है तो उसको पेसमेकर नहीं बिठाना है. और इस तरीके का गलत जो चीजें हो रही है इसको रोकना है. दूसरा, जब मैं गोवा में गई मैंने देखा कि गोवा के लोगों को एक बहुत बड़ी चिंता सता रही है, नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ रिवर. उसके नाम पे उस पे सारा तरीके का टूरिज्म और प्राइवेट कार्गोस को अलाउ कर रहे हैं, जिसके वजह से जो लोकल जो फिशरमैन है, वहाँ की फिशरमैन कम्युनिटी बहुत ही आगे चल के काम करती है, लेकिन उनको फील हो रहा है थ्रेट, क्योंकि हैबिटेट्स वगैरह जो ऑर्गेनिजम्स के हैं वो सब खराब हो रहे हैं. तो इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी कि यहाँ पर जो नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ रिवर है इसका जब भी डिक्लेयर भी हो रहा है, इसमें लोकल लोगों का पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए, उनका निर्णय भी लेना चाहिए. CRZ का कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन का भी बहुत बड़ा इशू है, जो कि हो सकता है हमारे दूसरे वेस्टर्न फ्लो के सत्र में हमारे भाई जो आए हैं, बॉलमैक्स आए हैं या रॉय बरीटो जी, वो भी थोड़ा सा उस पर विचार हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत करेंगे. तो ये जो इंटरलिंकिंग ऑफ रिवर कर रहे हैं, इसके तहत जो पोर्ट ट्रस्ट को दिया गया है सारा इसका अथॉरिटी, ये पोर्ट ट्रस्ट के पास अथॉरिटी बिल्कुल नदी की जानी नहीं चाहिए, वरना ये पूरी तरह से जो बड़ी बड़ी शिप्स और कार्गोज आने लगे हैं और बहुत सारा ऑयल पोल्यूशन होने लगा है पानी के ऊपर, इसको रोका जाना चाहिए. और इसी तरह से मैं अभी बंगाल को भी रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ। तो बंगाल में जब मैंने जो फरक्का बराज भी बना है जो गंगा के ऊपर, मालदा मुर्शिदाबाद रीजन में है ये, और इसके वजह से जो इरोजन हो रहा है, बहुत सारा जो भांगोन कहते हैं वहाँ पर, नदी का भांगोन गंगा का, उसके वजह से बहुत गांव के गांव डूबते जा रहे हैं और उससे एक चर लैंड तैयार हो रही है जो कि नो मैंस लैंड हो जाती है। उसकी कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है, नेशनल पॉलिसी कुछ भी नहीं है। दूसरा है जो इरोजन रिलेटेड जो लोग अफेक्टेड होते हैं उनको डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट और पॉलिसी के अंडर में उनको किसी भी तरीके का रिलीफ नहीं मिलता है। तो इस तरीके का इरोजन को भी डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट पॉलिसी में इंक्लूड किया जाए और उनको जो okay, so I will speak in English again a little bit. I'll repeat it. So I have presented that industrial development corporation should not be allowed on the river banks to make the industries, which is happening very rampantly everywhere across India. Secondly, I have said that MPCB, Pollution Control Board, should be made accountable for any type of such pollutions, because they have all the rights and authorities for cutting the water supply and electricity powers, but they are not doing these things, just shifting their responsibility on others. This has to stop somewhere, so we have to make them accountable. Another thing I have touched upon about the nationalization of rivers, for interlinking of rivers. Maybe in some states they want interlinking, but most of the states they don't require as such, because there are other alternatives which needs to be explored, like rainwater harvesting and all. In the first session we saw in the morning itself, there is so many alternatives which is not being explored. That needs to be explored rather than going for interlinking of rivers, because it may be misused a lot, because now it's going under port trust, which need not be done that way. The authority is given to the port trust. That one thing I have touched. Another is about the coastal regulation zone. We have seen that from 500 meters it has been reduced to 100, and in Mumbai also we have seen the way all buildings, because it's just for the builders lobby that such kind of reduction is being done, and all buildings have been or constructions have been allowed in under the name of such modifications. Even in case of Goa, we found that all the fishermen, they feel the threat of it and they are very much agitating for it. And when such drafts are being made, like for the coastal regulation zones, native people should be also given opportunity to discuss on it and allowed to make the draft. So this is what is expected. Regarding West Bengal, I was touching upon the erosion issues which is happening due to the Farakka Barrage, or a big dam which is 112 gates dam, because of which since a long time, that is since 1972, there is a lot of siltation which has happened in Ganga, and because of that regularly many number of villages, they keep falling, or it is getting submerged in water, and there is lot of chur lands which is getting created, and then there is no policy for such people, those who get affected, as well as no relief for them. So I have suggested that in disaster management policy, this erosion issue has to be incorporated and relief has to be given to the affected people. Next is, I think I have covered everything. Another most important about Ganga is that most of the sewage is being released in Ganga across Kolkata. We have found that 256 such sewage which is opening, directly releasing. So we have already approached to the Urban Development Authority, but this needs to be immediately diverted. Already NGT and Supreme Court's order is there for such thing, but it has not been implemented. So this such kind of whatever the rules, orders which are coming up, these needs to be effectively implemented. So we need to keep an eye on this, and we have to do the compliance of such thing. Thank you so much.
Now I proposed the people of manifesto who prepared, they can listen and understand what is the important part for the manifesto. But we cancel one session knowing our river a perspective. This session is cancelled, and next session start on 2:45 and time is over. So we continue this discussion. We are not disturbing anything. The same thing for the knowing our river, Himalaya river, and Indra is chair. संजय बोल चुके हैं और हमारी स्नेहल बोल चुकी है. मैं अब उत्तराखंड से सबसे पहले शुरू करता हूं सुरेश से। सुरेश भाई मंच पे आए और सुरेश भाई जरा बताएं कि हिमालयन रिवर का संकट क्या है। हिमालयन रिवर में जो आंदोलन अभी तक हुए हैं, उत्तराखंड से इन्होंने सदैव नदी को, गंगा को अविरल और निर्मल बनाने के लिए अद्भुत काम किया है, बहुत लड़ाई लड़ी है। इसलिए मैं हिमालयन रिवर की शुरुआत श्री गणेश, श्री सुरेश भाई से करता हूं।
तो आप शायद हिंदी में बात करेंगे ना? हाँ, तो सुरेश जी हिंदी में बात करेंगे और उनका जो I will translate the main points of what Suresh ji is saying in English after hearing him. Yes.
हाँ, ठीक जी। आप सबको प्रणाम करता हूँ। मैं उत्तराखंड से आया हूँ और हमारे गुरुजी श्री राजेंद्र सिंह जी हैं और यहाँ पर मंच पर बैठे हुए सभी लोगों को प्रणाम करता हूँ। सुबह से हम लोग काफ़ी व्यस्तता से बैठे हुए हैं और सुन रहे हैं और बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है। मैं तो वहाँ पर रहता हूँ जहाँ से गंगा जी आती है और उत्तरकाशी में हम लोगों का एक आश्रम है, हिमालयी पर्यावरण शिक्षा संस्थान, उसमें रहते हैं। हम लोग पिछले करीब 40 सालों से गंगा की अविरलता और निर्मलता के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। हम लोग सुंदरलाल बहुगुणा जी के साथ भी लंबे समय तक रहे और 2 बार हम लोग गिरफ्तार भी हुए टिहरी बांध के खिलाफ। और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड में नदी बचाओ अभियान शुरू किया और उसी दौर में हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड सरकार, जब उत्तराखंड राज्य बना तो हम लोगों ने उत्तराखंड के लिए कैसी जल नीति होनी चाहिए, तो हमने पीपुल्स वाटर पॉलिसी जो है उत्तराखंड की सरकार, पहली उत्तराखंड की सरकार को सौंपा जब एनडी तिवारी जी पहले मुख्यमंत्री बने थे। और फिर बीच में जो है हम अपने गुरुजी श्री राजेंद्र सिंह जी के साथ जो गंगा के सिरहाने पर लोहारी नागपाला परियोजना और उसके साथ भैरव घाटी परियोजनाओं के खिलाफ जो आंदोलन हुआ, जीडी अग्रवाल जी उत्तरकाशी पहुंचे, हम तमाम लोग उसमें जुड़े और सरकार को वो कैंसिल करना पड़ा और वो आज तक वो परियोजनाएं बंद पड़ी हुई है, जबकि उस पर हजारों करोड़ रुपए जो है खर्च भी हो चुके थे। हमने ये सब अनुभव के बाद देखा कि जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी आए 2014 में, तो उन्होंने नमामि गंगे की बात करी और हमने उसके दौर में उनको याद दिलाया कि हिमालय बचेगा तो गंगा बहेगी। और इस बात को लेकर के हम लोग ने एक यात्रा जो है गंगोत्री से गंगा सागर तक की 2014-15 में की और हम लोगों ने 1 लाख हस्ताक्षरों का एक दस्तावेज, हिमालय के लिए अलग नीति होनी चाहिए, हिमालय बचेगा, देश बचेगा, ये नारों की तक सीमित नहीं है बल्कि एक तरह का एक मंत्र भी है। ये विकास नीति के सामने एक चुनौती है, जो आज की जो ऐसी विकास नीति जिसमें हमारा पर्यावरण नहीं बच सकता है, नदियां नहीं बच सकती है। इसी अनुभव के दौरान 3-4 सुझाव जो मैं देना चाहता हूं। एक तो हमको लगा कि नदियों के सिरहाने से लेकर के, ओरिजिन से लेकर के और लगभग 100 किलोमीटर तक आगे किसी भी तरह का, ये हिमालय के परिक्षेत्र की बात कर रहा हूं, किसी भी तरह का भारी ह्यूज कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए। क्योंकि हमने देखा कि अभी उत्तराखंड और उसके जो 4 धाम हैं वहाँ के लिए जो है करीब 12,000 करोड़ की एक योजना बनाई गई है और उसमें ऐसी सड़क बनाने की योजना है जैसे यहाँ पर मैं देख रहा हूँ। जैसे हम यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं तो जगह जगह चौड़ी सड़कें, 2 लाइन, 3 लाइन, 4 लाइन की सड़कें, और हम लोगों ने उसका विरोध किया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी हमारे कई साथी गए और बड़ी मुश्किल से तो उसको 7 मीटर चौड़ा करने की बात थी। सब लोगों ने सवाल उठाए थे कि इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा मलबा जो है गंगा में गिर रहा है और गंगा के उद्गम को बचाना बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि गंगा के उद्गम में सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि ऊपर ग्लेशियर बहुत तेज़ी से हर साल 15 से 20 मीटर पीछे जो हट रहा है और ये सूखता ही जा रहा है और बर्फ किसी साल ज़्यादा भी पड़ गई तो बहुत जल्दी जो है पिघल करके आ रहा है। ऐसा लगता है कि गंगा और उसके सहायक नदियों में जो है बाढ़ आ रही हो, जबकि बरसात से पहले की यह घटना हमको देखने को मिलती है। तो ये तो गंगा के उद्गम से लेकर के और आगे तक 100 किलोमीटर के क्षेत्र में किसी भी तरह का ह्यूज कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए। हमने देखा कि इस समय एक और अनुभव है जो कि हमारे मैनिफेस्टो के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि सरकार ने नमामि गंगे परियोजना में करीब 30,000 हेक्टेयर जमीन में पेड़ लगाने की बात करी है। साथियों, हमारे यहाँ गंगोत्री में जहां पर मैं रहता हूं, वहां से गंगोत्री जो है 100 किलोमीटर दूर है, उत्तरकाशी में रहते हैं। इसी बीच अभी इस इलेक्शन का जो रिजल्ट 14 तारीख अगले महीने जो आने वाला है 10 मार्च को, तैयारी हो रही है कि 2 लाख पेड़ काटे जाएंगे। और 2 लाख पेड़ क्यों काटे जाएंगे? चौड़ी सड़क बनाने के लिए काटे जाएंगे। और 2 लाख पेड़ जो है वो सारे के सारे पेड़ जो है देवदार के पेड़ हैं, जो बहुत रेयर प्रजाति है। और इस तरह की प्रजातियों को काटने की तैयारी चल रही है। मैं देशवासियों से, आप तमाम लोगों से निवेदन करूंगा कि जिस तरह से पिछले दिनों दिल्ली और वहां बंबई में लोगों ने पेड़ों पर राखी बांधी, हम लोग भी पेड़ों पर रक्षा सूत्र आंदोलन चलाते हैं उत्तराखंड में बहुत लंबे समय से। कई जंगल हम लोगों ने इस गतिविधि के द्वारा बचाए हैं। अभी भी मैं आप सबसे प्रार्थना करता हूं कि उसको बचाया जाए, गंगोत्री के हरे देवदार के पहरेदारों को बचाया जाए। 2 लाख पेड़ कटने वाले हैं। जैसे दिबांग घाटी में सरकार ने जो है वो बड़ी मात्रा में बायोडाइवर्सिटी को और पेड़ों को खत्म किया, वैसे ही गंगोत्री जो कुछ बचाने का प्रयास राजेंद्र सिंह जी के साथ और जीडी अग्रवाल जी के साथ जो कुछ प्रयास हम सब लोगों ने मिलकर के किया था, वो फिर से ध्वस्त होने वाला है। कुछ ही चंद समय में मार्च अप्रैल में ये होने वाला है। साथियों, आप सब लोग इकट्ठे हो जाओ। एक तो इस बात के लिए मैं खासकर यहाँ पर इसलिए आया, और मैं बहन खुराना जी का बहुत आभारी हूँ कि उन्होंने यहाँ पर तीसरा
समय कम है और हर बार अध्यक्षा की कृपा से हमको समय ऐसे ही मिलता है। अब राजेंद्र भाई कहते हैं नीर, नदी, नारी। अब नारी हैं, अध्यक्षा भी हैं, इंदिरा जी भी हैं, बारिश इन्हीं से होती है। चलिए, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आपने इतना भी समय दिया, शुक्रिया।
डीजीपी रहे महेंद्र मोदी जी से निवेदन करता हूं कि वो मैनिफेस्टो में क्या सजेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, कीवर्ड्स में 2 मिनट में अपनी बात रख सकेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। महेंद्र मोदी जी ऐसे डीजीपी हैं जिन्होंने यूपी के डीजीपी रहते हुए पानी का अद्भुत काम किया। श्री महेंद्र मोदी।
Respected friends, just adding teeth to your voice, you know, right to life is a fundamental right. But, and we have heard of National Human Rights Commission, National Commission on Child Protection Rights. Similarly, wherever there is no Water Resources Commission, my suggestion is that National Commission for the Protection of River Rights can be started in such states. Because right to life is not only right to live, it is right to live a dignified life, and all rivers whom we have been regarding as our mothers, they have the right to live a dignified life, so that all the 1.4 billion lives of India, they live with dignity forever. I'm cutting short for brevity. Thank you. This is enough.
ये बहुत अच्छा सुझाव है। मैं चाहूंगा कि मैनिफेस्टो तैयार करने वाले लोग इस बात को भी जरा अच्छे से शामिल करें, क्योंकि ये एक अच्छा सुझाव है एक्शन के लिए। वेरी गुड, थैंक यू वेरी मच। नाउ इस सत्र की अध्यक्षता कर रही इंदिरा बहन के हाथ में माइक देता हूं।
Just a second. I request from next time onwards, just give me some time here for 5 minutes. My sentence structures, my voice structures, my will be totally smart. You will get one word that will whole saying will get distorted. So just I am requesting that in future my name should also figure in reverse also. When I present, I guarantee you I will not quote so many quotations in a sloka. I will give concrete suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We need people like you in our drafting of manifesto and in our I will not take too much of time. I think we had a very interesting session, a very useful session, and I'd really like to thank all the people who gave inputs into the discussion, this afternoon, especially with the session after lunch. So really appreciate and respect all your contribution and the patience of all the others gathered here for listening to all of us in spite of language issues. I think what came across very clearly is the diversity and the different situations that exist in the Himalayan river basins. The need to be sensitive to all these different situations and to see how we can incorporate all these different concerns into the manifesto. There was a lot of energy in the room, lot of energy in the people who shared their views, and really liked the way people stood up and responded to the call by Suresh Bhai that please come and support us in our fight to save the trees of Gangotri. Thank you very much for spending your time and sharing your views. We have the manifesto, that one page with us. Please give your inputs at the end on the other side and share it with us so that we get your views also incorporated into the manifesto, and which we can discuss in the next level of the manifesto preparation. Thank you so much. Prakash.
Thank you very much. Now, Prakash Rao ji, your session start. Knowing our river, Peninsular River. So प्रकाश राव जी इस सेशन को चेयर करेंगे और इस सेशन को आगे कैसे चलाएंगे, ये मैं उनके हाथ में माइक देता हूं. प्रकाश राव जी.
Thank you. Thank you, the speakers from Himalayan basins. I am requesting Himalayan basin speakers, please give the chance to Peninsular people. You can sit there. Thank you.
Very good.
Now you are from Peninsular. Yeah. Yeah, I'm inviting Satya onto the dais.
Satya is already.
Inviting Shyam Prasad Reddy garu onto the dais, Sridhar Deshpande garu, P.T. John. This is not only Krishna Godavari and also west flowing and east flowing rivers, which are the small rivers, and also Mahanadi. Yeah, from Mahanadi, Ashwini Mahapatro. Rai Barodaji from Goa. Where are you, Rai Barodaji? I have not seen you. Oh, please come, please come. Please come onto the dais. Bansi Derun, Gujarat. Gujarat se aaya Bansi. Sudeep Awasthi ji, please come. Sudeep Awasthi ji from Chhattisgarh. The next session will be Kaveri. So I am not inviting Kaveri people. Don't disappoint yourself. Dr. Uhasab, without you, how can we conduct Peninsular Basin discussions? Please come, please come. नाडागौड़ा साहब, आप भी आइए. नहीं, I can sit here, but हाँ? So there are few people, they are experts, but I am not calling now. Sumant Pandey ji, Deepak Mortale, your session is tomorrow. Though you are belongs to Indian Peninsular River Basin states, but I am not calling you because I have given 20 minutes, 10 minutes time tomorrow for you. Yeah, you can please.
My dear, all friends of the Peninsular Rivers, the Peninsular River Council chair is V. Prakash Rao, and I suggest to him, you know, the very big area of the Peninsular River and the all progressive states, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, they are the model of the modern development. So these all states comes under the Peninsular River Council. So
I just request to the team of the Peninsular River, they can take this move. One is Kaveri. So I suggest if the Peninsular River Council entered, so they start with Kaveri. So the all state of the Kaveri is here and the Mahanadi. So if you covered the or you have the time and you not give the 10 minutes, you give only 5 minutes, but every person can speak from the Kaveri, the lot of very good group of the Tamil Nadu friends sitting front. So I just request you.
Let me complete Narmada, Tapi and Krishna Godavari. Later we can give special session for 45 minutes to Kaveri. Because many people came from Tamil Nadu and translation is required for Tamil people.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Now I am taking Krishna and Godavari, later Narmada and Tapi. I left a few people from Narmada and Tapi, later I will invite all of you. And from Krishna Basin, Shyamprasad Reddy Garu is the chairman of Krishna family. Now I am requesting him to speak about Krishna, and he can invite a few people from Krishna Basin to speak. Please come. Shankar Prasad, Ikara, please come.
Okay. Namaskar. Good evening to everybody. Now we are discussing about peninsular rivers. First, Krishna. Welcome to all Krishna family members. And you see, I hail from Krishna Basin in Nalgonda district of Telangana.
Sir, you use this mic, that mic is no voice is not coming.
Is it okay? Hello friends.
Yes.
You see, I have given only 10 minutes time because I hail from that unfortunate area in Nalgonda district, which is suffering from two pollutions. One is natural pollution, fluorine. Dr. P.G. Shastri sir knows about it. And other one is man-made pollution due to this presence of pharmaceutical companies in that area. You see, I have selected one tributary of Krishna, which is flowing from Nalgonda district, that is Halia River. It joins the Krishna River in the downstream of Nagarjuna Sagar. This Halia River, even my native is also in that river basin. You see, I have selected Hello, Shankar? And you see that is, you see on the Vijayawada route, on the Vijayawada National Highway, you will come across one town, Chautupal. That Chautupal town is part of that Halia River Basin. And there you will see number of pharmaceutical companies. even one stream of this Halia passes through that Divi pharmaceutical company for 200 meters. And that guy, he has digged so many bore wells and dumping that waste into that bores. Very danger. All the waste of pharmaceutical waste, they are dumping in the bore wells. Thereby, you see, in the vicinity of Chautupal, you won't find any good water, not for drinking purpose, even for other general purpose also you cannot use. That is the situation around Chautupal. Already we are suffering from fluorosis. In addition to that, this wastage of pharmaceutical companies, they made the issue very worst, and therefore I want to present that area and that story. Amy, Shankar. You see, Krishna is a very typical river in the world. Most typical river in the world. You see, it gives more water to the out of basin areas than the basin. We were told in Roorkee, while I was doing my ME, that Krishna, it gives out 57% of its water to the outside the basin. Nowhere in the world, no other river gives that amount of water to the outside basins. Therefore, moreover, really, Krishna, you will find water in the upstream areas, no water in the downstream areas. Contrary to the Godavari. Godavari, no water in the upstream areas, only water in the downstream areas, where you don't find any agriculture lands. Only after Pranahita only you will find water. Whereas Krishna, you see, after Bhima, I think Bhima and Tungabhadra, no water. This is the controversy between Krishna and Godavari. Are you ready, Shankar? Okay, friends. Anyhow, I could not give any suggestions regarding the manifesto. I have not studied it because I was otherwise engaged. Anyhow, I will sit down in the night. By tomorrow, I will definitely hand over my feelings and my views on the given document. And moreover, I am very happy that Hyderabad has been chosen to discuss on the river manifesto, first of its kind. Therefore, we have to discuss it and we have to put forth our views perfectly so that a perfect manifesto comes out for the nation, not only for our nation, for entire world also. I think that is the dream of our mentor Rajendra Singh ji. And if my friend does not help me, then I will orally conclude my session. You see, friends, I worked in Krishna River Basin projects only. I joined in Nagarjuna Sagar. I worked in Srisailam, and finally, I was in charge of the biggest and largest lift scheme in Southeast Asia. It was commissioned in 2001, and that is SLBC lift scheme. It has been named after my classmate Eliminati Madhav Reddy. He was a home minister at that time. He was killed by the Naxalites, and now the project name is AMRP, Eliminati Madhav Reddy project. It is the biggest lift scheme at the time of 2000. Now it is okay. You see, I worked for 20 years in the Asia's biggest and largest lift scheme. I worked there right from survey to commissioning of that project. Really, now it is serving 3 lakh acres for Nalgonda district for irrigation, and 70% of Hyderabad is getting drinking water from that project only, and 1,000 villages in Nalgonda district are also getting drinking water from that village, from that project. And in formulating that project, I am very happy to say that Dr. P.G. Shastri Garu, especially the tunnel scheme, totally he was there to get the approvals for forest clearance and environment clearance. Really, I have seen his studies, books, and gone through those DPRs. Really wonderful job you have done, sir, for the sake of Nalgonda people. That too, people are suffering from fluorosis because excess presence of fluorine in that area, nearly lakhs of people have been crippled. You see, the permissible limit of fluorine in water is 0.5 ppm to 1.5. But whereas in this area, which we have going to study, that Halia area, Halia river basin area, the minimum is 3, the maximum is 12. One village in Marigoda Mandal, that village has been vacated by the government because there the presence of fluorine was 12.3, and therefore that was the situation there. And experts told that unless you give safe irrigation water, you cannot solve the problem. Surface water we have to give. You have to ban the bore wells. Due to the advent of technology of bore wells since 1970, the problem has been risen in many folds. Therefore, we have chosen that area for our study, that is a tributary of Krishna. Now, we fought for a project that is Dindi Lift Scheme, and if it, if it materializes, then we can solve some problem. But we are concentrating on rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge in that area. That is more useful. We have to create a tank underneath of every farmer's field. Therefore, we are taking the assistance from other agencies also for raising the groundwater in that area. Therefore, that is the only solution to combat this situation, and unless then only 90% problem will be solved. Mere supplying drinking water will solve only 10% of the problem. Therefore, this is the major issue in that area. I wanted to explain. I think something went wrong in the PPT. Okay, friends. Anyhow, now I am chairman of Krishna River family. Now I was confined to Telangana only all these years. We have participated in Telangana movement, and always we used to think about the Telangana only. Now I am the family of Krishna. Now I have to think about the total Krishna of the 4 states. Therefore, I will be very happy. I seek your cooperation in converting the Krishna River in a perfect manner, and we have safeguarded the rights of the Krishna. We have to fight for the Krishna. We have to become the voice of voiceless Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. Now I am requesting Narendra Chu. Narendra Chu is our core committee member, and he is one of the founder of Indian Peninsular River Basin Council. He did wonderful work on River Agrani. He rejuvenated that river with wonderful work. He built so many check dams, and please listen from him, Mr. Narendra Chu.
Good evening, friends. I am from Krishna family, as our chairman, Mr. Shama Prasad Reddy, was telling. I have been working on River Agrani, which is a tributary of Krishna River. So what I will try to do is trace back the journey of 9-10 years where we have been working for rejuvenation of this river, and what are the lessons that can be incorporated into the proposed manifesto that we are trying to evolve jointly. 2013, we were introduced to river Agrani, which is flowing through the Sangli district of Maharashtra. And it is an interstate river, 105 kilometers long. 60 kilometers its flow in the Maharashtra and 45 kilometers in Karnataka. So this we found through Dr. Rajan Singh as mentor. He said you have to follow the river basin approach. 3 learnings from these 2 points. One is the river basin approach has to be followed. It means though this river was 105 kilometers, moving through 2 states, 6 talukas, we do not have to consider that this Agrani river is either of Maharashtra or of Karnataka. So the Jal Biradri team from Maharashtra and from Karnataka, they both together, instead of creating disputes between themselves about the sharing of water, this was envisaged long before by Dr. Rajendra Singh ji, and he said, unless the cooperation between both the states is there, you will not be able to rejuvenate the river. So this was an important point. Jal Biradri team from Karnataka and Maharashtra team, they both joined hands. The river originates in Maharashtra, but the Karnataka people took the responsibility of coming together and rejuvenating the catchment area of that river. So the people's participation at the ground level, confidence building measure between the 2 states has to be there, because if this confidence is built between the lower riparian state, that whatever interventions happen on this river, your interest will be safeguarded. There was, so this 10 years of river rejuvenation is work in progress. The dry river is flowing. 47 check dams on the main river and 10 check dams on the tributary have been made by the people's participation. So the second important point is that when the people take the responsibility of rejuvenating the river, the people pour their heart into it. The people, when they pour their heart into it, they get one with the river and they will try to solve their problems. As this river was dry, 2 principles emerged out of it. The people realized they were getting water through the tankers, but they realized that our health and the river health cannot be separated. If the river is dry, we cannot be panidar for long. So even if we are getting drinking water, the river has to be rejuvenated. So this was an important principle. We jointly learned there that the river health and human health is interconnected and very much. Third point was, when I speak about the confidence building measures between the 2 states and taking the responsibility, the local people there, they guided us that these are the small streams which are feeding the river. This is the geology of this place. This is how, if the check dams are built at this particular, on this particular site, it will not only impound the water, it will also percolate into the ground and the groundwater will recharge. So the traditional wisdom within the geography of that particular area is very important, and unless the experience of the local communities is integrated, as we are trying to do in this, in the morning session, Vinodji said that we have to seek inputs, we have to seek the experiences of the people throughout India about what should be the river manifesto. So while working on the small rivers, we tried to understand why the river has been dried up from the local people. They shared their experiences, they shared their knowledge. So this was very important that the people were taking part in this. Fourth thing was, Bhai Sahab also told us that unless you involve Sant, Shasan, Samaj and Mahajan, you will not be able to rejuvenate the river. So when we say, talk about sants, then there are people who tell us, the spiritual masters, who tell us that the river is your mother. The river is our mother of civilization. तो नदियों को माँ की दृष्टि से देखना चाहिए. लेकिन उन्होंने साथ में ये भी बताया कि ये संत हमारे वैज्ञानिक भी संत हैं. Unless you understand the geology, the hydromorphology, the satellite data images, the aquifer mapping, you will not be able to rejuvenate the river. So people with knowledge, whether they have the knowledge, spiritual knowledge or the scientific knowledge, unless you understand the science of the rivers, that will not be sufficient. The only spiritual aspect or only the scientific aspect will not be sufficient. The spirituality will give you the ethics, the morality of not treating the river as only the economic entity. The spirituality will give you power to understand the ecology and the biodiversity of the river. So unless you involve the spirituality and the scientific biodiversity scientists within the river, you will not be able to understand the river and rejuvenate the river. So a wide spectrum of consultations has opened up. The scientists have to be approached, the spiritual spiritual inputs about the river have to be taken. Shasan, unless the government is involved. In the morning session, I will again quote my friend Vinod. He said, during the vote, we give power to the politicians. They come up with the manifesto, they mislead us, and they take our votes, and they take our votes by promising that whatever is your will, that whatever is the people's will be followed, and that will be translated. But we see that that is not being done. But in our manifesto, the people's aspirations of what they feel is the river, that has to be incorporated, because the livelihoods of the people is dependent on that. There are many aspects that they have to suggest to us. So even the governments to whom we have given power, we should ensure that as a proactive democratic entity within the democratic setup, it is our duty that we ensure that the governments also fulfill our aspirations about the rivers. Sant, Shasan, Samaj, we told you, unless the people take up the responsibility, तो हमने पाया कि there was not a single check dam on this river. After studying the scientifically, creating the maps, understanding the geology, people started working on the river. So they followed one more principle. The principle was, wherever the water is running, जहां पानी दौड़ता है, उसे चलना सिखाओ. Slow the flow. That was a very important scientific input, because when they started following the simple common sense, they slowed the flow of the river and ensured that the water percolates in the groundwater and the groundwater gets recharged. Once the groundwater was recharged, the river started flowing. So the link between the groundwater and the surface water is extremely important when we draft the manifesto. So the people working over the groundwater and the river water, they have to work in conjunction. As we know, more than 78–80% of our irrigation is dependent on the groundwater. So the Samaj has played a very important role in ensuring, in all our talks here we found, that unless every single person contributes his efforts, contributes his tan, man, dhan towards the rejuvenation of the rivers, we will not be able to ensure that our rivers are clean and healthy. Another point, pollution. Bhai Sahab always says that the river and the sewer has to be separate. So this is a very important principle which has to be followed. This was a river flowing through a dry area. When it got rejuvenated, the people ensured that we will not put our dirty water into the river. So they realized that after such a long struggle, they have made the river perennial. So it is no point again making it polluted. So they have ensured that the nalas from their villages is not directly into the river. They divert it towards their fields. Second important thing we've also found is that the river was encroached by the farmers because it was dry. But when the entire community sat together, they said कि नदी की जमीन नदियों के लिए, and they autonomously on their own tried to remove the encroachment and restore the rivers to its original width. So there are many other things, but I think everything cannot be covered very shortly. I think there are many people who will add on to all these experiences. I will conclude here. Thank you. Thank you for giving me time and opportunity to share my views.
Shastri ji, very much waiting. We can learn some experience very creative way. So the one experience, tomorrow he can speak, but he is interested in listening some experience of the positive experience. So very good. Now Satya can divide your time. Your time written in 10 minutes, but we are not giving the 10 minutes to you. 10 minutes to you and 10 minutes for Gandhi. Oh, 5 minutes for Gandhi. 5 you and Gandhi. Gandhi garu, pai kochi undandi.
Hello, yeah, this is better. Again, back on the dais. Thank you for the dignitaries on the dais and more people. Actually, I see more people who are on the sitting in the front. They are the real workers. Vanakkam. Nalla irukangala? Nalla irukanga. எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் தான் தமிழ் தெரியும், சும்மா தெரியாது. So, எல்லாருக்கும் நமஸ்காரம். When rivers can be regenerated, why river linking? River linking. When rivers can be regenerated, and Dr. Rajendra Singh can regenerate dead rivers, which are dead for 60 years, 50 years, they are flowing. Why can't the other rivers flow? Why do they need river from other rivers? So, just like mixing the blood from one person to other person without knowing the group, it will kill you. Similarly, the river biology will die because every river is not the same. And morning, Vani Mohan Garu, Vanita Mohan Garu speaking, I really admired her efforts. And I would like to say, mothers are not weak. Rivers are rivers, and we are thinking mother bimari hai, ICU mein hai. Nahi, mother thak rahi hai because she is trying to help the people who are in ICU. That is why she is becoming weak. And her blood is actually getting spoiled and polluted. We are polluting the blood. She is the mother. And mother can become wild and become Amoru. Normally in Telugu, we called Amma. Amma means a symbolic for peace, symbol of peace. And she bears everything, whatever we torture, she bears. But Amoru kills you. She kills her own son also if he is doing something wrong. So mothers can become wild and become Amoru. The rivers also can become wild and become the flood and wash away all the people who are encroached. They'll be forever eliminated from the beds and they'll be going into Bengal or the other side. So what I would like to say is we should draw spirit from Professor G. Agarwal ji, and we should thank all the polluters and we should thank all the encroachers for, because without them, if they are not there, Dr. Rajendra Singh would not have been sitting here and getting all the prizes. So, all the encroachers and all the polluters, I thank to them because of you. Dr. Rajendra Singh is here and he got Magsaysay Award. He got Stockholm Pricewaterhouse Award. So, all the polluters are also doing one way a good job. So, I'm sorry to say that. Actually, politicians will talk nicely, whatever they do in the interest of the public. but that's not correct. Actually, people should be aware and awake and control the politicians. If somebody is doing wrong, it should be punished, it should be garrowed. All the people should go and sit in front of a politician house if he is taking a wrong decision. If a collector is doing mistake, let us go and sit in front of the collector. That's what Baisab did. Actually, he asked me to speak about something different, Bijapur, Krishna Yatra, Godavari Yatra and all. But I think they're all boring after lunch and after this thing, all. See, we have Krishna Yatra and a Krishna Parliament in Bijapur. It started at 9 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Baisab has come and stopped it. It is not stopped. 120 people, nobody moved out. And 5 different languages in Bijapur. Thanks to Patil Saab. He has gotten really good, wonderful this thing they did. Ultimately, the people who are actually doing work are sitting there, and we are sitting here and talking. So that's not correct. So most of the time I feel that actually people who are doing the work should talk. And that's how actually Rajendra Singh is popular, because he is a worker in the field. He is not like other people, only talkers. And I request Anmol Gandhi Garu to come and actually give only 1 minute his experience, because he associated with Mir Telugulana maatadandi, English lo kala. See, he is the one Gandhiji fought against the Chandrababu Naidu government and took the risk of his life. And he is not a small person. He is having about 300-200 acres of land there on the banks, and if he supports Chandrababu Naidu, he can become bigger and richer. But he supported Dr. Rajendra Singh and helped us, and he hosted several people, and such a man has to be brought here and made him to talk. I'll translate whatever he speak in Telugu. Please speak.
I can't speak in English. I can understand, but I cannot speak in English. యాక్చువల్గా ఇవాళ ముఖ్యంగా ప్రభుత్వాల యొక్క పాలసీలే నదులను కిల్ చేస్తున్నాయి. ఒక్క విషయం, నదీ నాగరికత వచ్చింది, నదీ తీర ప్రాంతాలే నాగరికతలు వెలిసినాయి. కానీ ఇవాళ నదుల పక్కన కనుక నగరాలు నిర్మాణం చేస్తే నదులు ఇంకా పొల్యూట్ అయిపోతాయి. ఒకప్పుడు ఆ నదుల్లో నీళ్ళని మనం పవిత్రంగా భావించే నీళ్లు ఇవాళ పూర్తిగా పొల్యూట్ అయిపోయినాయి. మరి నది పక్కన నిర్మాణం చేయాలనే ఆలోచనతో అమరావతి రాజధాని నిర్మాణం అనేది మొదలు పెట్టడం, దాన్ని వరల్డ్ క్లాస్ రాజధాని అని చెప్పి ఒక ప్రచారం చేయడం. అయితే దురదృష్టకర విషయం ఏంటంటే, ఎందుకు ముంపు వస్తుంది? ఇవాళ కృష్ణానది ఎండిపోయిందని మనం అందరం అనుకుంటున్నాం, కానీ కృష్ణ యొక్క వరద ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ పెరిగింది మాకు డౌన్ స్ట్రీమ్లో. నాకు కృష్ణా నది మధ్యలో ల్యాండ్ ఉంది. 1949లో మునిగింది, 69లో మునిగింది, మళ్ళీ 1998లోను 2009లోను మునిగింది. బిఫోర్ లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ అంతకుముందు సంవత్సరం కూడా మునగడం జరిగింది. అంటే ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ పెరిగినట్టా కాదా? అంటే నది యొక్క ముంపు ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ కూడా పెరిగింది. ఎందుకంటే పైన డ్యాముల నిర్మాణం వలన ఒక పక్కనైతే ప్రకృతి మనకు క్లియర్గా చూపించింది, 98లో అప్ స్ట్రీమ్లో ఉన్న డ్యాములు వాటర్ ఫుల్ అయ్యి దానివల్ల ముంపు జరిగింది. కానీ 2009లో జరిగిన ముంపు కేవలం 3 జిల్లాలలో క్యాచ్మెంట్ ఏరియాలో, రాయచూర్, కర్నూలు, మహబూబ్నగర్ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ యొక్క 3 జిల్లాల యొక్క క్యాచ్మెంట్ ఏరియాలో కురిసిన రైన్స్ ఫాల్ మూలన 2009లో వరద వచ్చింది. అంటే మనం ఉత్తరాఖండ్లో చూసాం, మరి చెన్నైలో చూసాం, ఇవాళ చైనాలో అనేక నగరాలు కొట్టుకుపోవడం చూస్తున్నాం. అంటే వరదలు ఈ రకంగా సంభవించడానికి ఛాన్స్ ఉంది. అంటే మన మేనిఫెస్టోలో ముఖ్యంగా పెట్టాల్సిన అంశం కూడా ఈ అంశం కూడా పెట్టాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. ఎందుకనంటే ఇవాళ ఫ్లడ్ ప్లైన్స్ని కిల్ చేసి ముంపు నివారిస్తారంటే ఎలా నివారిస్తారు? ముంపు నివారించడానికి కూడా ఇవాళ మార్గాలు ఎదుర్కోవాల్సిన పరిస్థితులు, ఎంక్రోచ్మెంట్స్ మూలాన కానీ లేకపోతే ఫ్లడ్ ప్లైన్స్ని కిల్ చేయడం మూలాన కానీ ఇవాళ హైదరాబాద్ నగరం ముంపుకు గురవుతుందంటే చెరువులు పోవటమే కాదు, చెరువులు పక్కన ఉన్న ఫ్లడ్ ప్లైన్స్ కూడా కిల్ చేశారు. అదే రకంగా ఇవాళ మరి పెద్ద చెరువులైనా మరి గండిపేట హిమాయత్ సాగర్ యొక్క చెరువుల యొక్క త్రిభువన్ జీవన్ కూడా పక్కకు మలిచే పరిస్థితి ఏర్పడుతుంది. ఆ రకంగా హైదరాబాద్ ముంపు ప్రాంతం కూడా ఇంకా పెరుగుతుంది. అంటే ప్రతి ప్రాంతంలో కూడా ముంపు ప్రాంతం పెరగడానికి ఫ్లడ్ ప్లైన్స్ కిల్ చేయడమే ఆ యొక్క ఉద్దేశంతోనే నేను అమరావతిలో ఉద్యమం చేయడం జరిగింది. ఒక్క విషయం చెబుతాను, శాండ్ మైనింగ్ కేసు వేసాం. శాండ్ మైనింగ్ కేసు వేస్తే ఏమని యాక్చువల్గా జరిగింది ఏంటంటే, కృష్ణానదిలో ప్రకాశం బ్యారేజ్ అప్స్ట్రీమ్లో విపరీతంగా శాండ్ మైనింగ్ జరుగుతుంటే కేసు వేయడం జరిగింది ఎన్జీటీలో. ఆ కేసు మీద జడ్జిమెంట్ వచ్చింది. జడ్జిమెంట్ ఏంటంటే 100 crores ఫైన్. ఆ యొక్క ఇన్వెస్టిగేషన్లో కూడా సీఎం హౌస్ బ్యాక్ సైడే ఇంత డిస్టెన్స్లో అక్రమం జరుగుతుందని. తర్వాత గవర్నమెంట్ వచ్చింది, అపోజిషన్ గవర్నమెంటే వచ్చింది. వాళ్ళు అక్రమం జరగలేదని పడేశారు. ఎన్జీటీ ఒప్పుకోతే సెంట్రల్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ మినిస్టర్ నుంచి కమిటీ వేసి దాని ద్వారా అక్రమం జరగట్లేదని చేశారు. అంటే ప్రభుత్వాలు చివరికి దాన్ని అక్రమం జరగట్లేదని చెప్పి శాండ్ మైనింగ్ కొట్టేయడం జరిగింది. మరి మనం పిటిషన్ పడేస్తే మైనింగ్ అవుతుంది. కానీ దురదృష్టకర విషయం ఏంటంటే, ఒక్క ప్రభుత్వంతో పోరాడుతున్నప్పుడే హత్యా ప్రయత్నం జరిగింది. మరి ముగ్గురితో ఫైట్ చేస్తే ఎక్కడుంటామో కూడా తెలిసిన విషయం. అందుకనే అప్పుడు జగ్గి వాసుదేవ్ గారు చెప్పారు విజయవాడ వచ్చినప్పుడు, శాండ్ మైనింగ్ మీద కేసుకి వెళ్తే అత్యంత ప్రమాదంలో పడతామని. ఇవన్నీ కూడా గుర్తుంచుకోవాల్సిన విషయాలు. అది థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్, నాకు అవకాశం ఇచ్చినాను.
Thank you, Anmol Gandhiji. See, you can understand the feeling, right? You cannot understand the words, but you can understand the feeling. He is the one, he always says that culture, the river is actually going to bring the culture and that culture to be protected. And Amaravati, the chief minister, earlier chief minister tried to build Amaravati on the floodplains and on the inundation river zone. And we clearly, after Krishna River, during the Krishna River meeting, we found the reasons also. 2009, 2014, floods have come and created a lot of damage. And 1998, the dams are filled and the flood has come. But in 2009, only in small catchment area in 3 districts created more havoc. That means if you are occupying the catchment area, that is going to create more problem. Like Uttarakhand, Chennai and China, we are seeing cities are getting washed away. Even recently we saw some cities in Germany and Europe also washed away. So let us keep the river area for river, and manifesto should include protection of floodplains and encroachment, prevent encroachment, that's already there. Then Hyderabad floods also, he said the reason for Hyderabad floods is occupying the tanks. And morning somebody told that cities are built, villages are built on the tanks itself. They close the tanks and build it. So that has to be avoided. And sand mining case, in the previous government we put a case and we got the penalty from the NGT, 100 crore penalty. There is an attack on us. I am driving the jeep, myself and Dr. Rajendra Singh on the next side, and behind Dr. Gandhi, Anmol Gandhi and Professor Soni. And 300 people came to kill us. So this is, physically we are alive here. If we are protected by through somehow or other, we are here. So what he says is, with one government fighting with one government is a problem. And the successive government came, the penalty which is imposed, these people have to avoid the penalty. They said previous government did not do anything mistake. And Jaggi Vasudev, when he came to rally for rivers in Vijayawada, and somebody asked him, sir, the Krishna River, the floodplains are being robbed and sand mining, illegal sand mafia is there, and illegal sand mining is going on. Please try to do something. He said, do you want me to die? He told the media people, do you want me to die? They'll kill me. So now he says, I understood why he said that, and I don't want to fight again with Jagan government, because one government itself we had a threat. And successive governments, keep on threat. So we should awake people. So it's not that one Gandhi or one Rajendra Singh. All the people are taking this forward. That's better. And thanks for the time, sir.
Nadegowda ji.
Dr. Nadagoda.
Friends on the dais and off the dais. Actually, I came here to listen to all the people, but you have started making me to speak. Now I'll speak. I had to speak. There are so many good things have happened. After started attending your meetings, I am very happy that our mentality has changed. I hail from a place, Krishna Basin, Ghataprabha, where there are two dams, Narayanpur and Almaty Reservoir. Then my lands are there in Malaprabha. My mother hails from Malaprabha. My wife hails from there, Sankeshwar. So Krishna Basin. Madai is there. I am living in Bangalore for last 50 years. So Kaveri also were attached. So entire basin. I'll tell you a small incident. There was a family dispute. So they called me, you come and sit with and solve our problem. So our discussion started at the 6 o'clock. It went to next day morning 6, 7 o'clock. Two brothers are fighting. This property, I must get this property, I must this property. So morning 7 o'clock I got a strike. Who has earned this? No, none of these people have earned. There somebody is in London. He has earned and given here, and these people are fighting for that. So this is like that. We are fighting for some property. Somebody is given to us for our future relationship, but we are fighting. Till now, what was the way we used to handle? We used to handle. What is my share? How much share I'll get? So this was our fight. Our Krishna, he was fighting for Telangana water. Telangana state wanted water. Andhra state water. Tamil Nadu, Goa is fighting. Kerala is fighting. Like that in Karnataka, we used to fight for our share of water. See, we are fought that 50% dependability, 75% dependability. So on this, we wanted to share the waters, how much I am getting. But we forgot how to save this. Somebody told that rivers are dying. River is the ICU. What actually happens is, if one river dies, the people is living by the side of the river, they become orphan. They are the orphan here. They are the sufferers. Now, after attending this, our attitude should change like that. How to save this water? We have got water resources minister. We have got all those ministers, but we don't know how to save these rivers. Rivers and even those hills and mountains. I really liked one man who started doing satellite survey, and he started taking the property. What is the river property? And last time also I spoke to Ranjit Singh. So in other countries, every river bed is protected, depending on the flood level. Because even our Almaty dam is constructed as far as the Mexico floods. On that calculation, our Almaty dam is constructed. So we have to protect the bed. Now we have to start telling that every river has to be surveyed, its property has to be calculated, and we have to protect the rivers. So our movement should start. And we are doing discussions here and all. But who are the people who are going to do it? It is the bureaucracy and the politician, one who are in the power. And one in the, we have to go to the Gram Panchayat also, there who are there. See, they should be educated. Now we have to form this one that those people should be educated. Though politicians, they come for 5 years and go. The people who are going to be here is bureaucrats. They will be here for 30 years, 40 years, and that is their planning. So we must see that these subjects are included. These subjects are included in the classrooms also from 1st standard or 5th standard. These subjects should be included. They should be the subjects for the students. We all say that our young generation should go to the river, so river education should be there. And our river bed should be protected. See, I was in Pittsburgh. From Pittsburgh to Washington, I can walk. I can cycle. It is more than 400 kilometers. I can go and I can walk. And there are also 3 rivers where maximum suffering has happened to us. 2 lakh families have been displaced. Almaty Reservoir, Narayanpur Reservoir. And a town like Bagalkot, which was 35,000 when planned, now it is more than 1 lakh. We have to shift 50,000-60,000 families to the Navnagara. We are spending crores of rupees. Even if after doing all that, there is suffering. Even all that about more than 36 rehabilitation R&R centers, the people are suffering there. They have lost their land because they don't know anything, and the situation in that rehabilitation center is very precarious. Then I only once in my assembly asked one officer, let him go and stay in the month of May in that rehabilitation center for 2 days and come. See, it is the state of affairs because lot of suffering has happened there. And I had I'll take on 1 or 2 minutes. See, I was canvassing in the election. I stayed in Almaty. As well as 6:30, 7 o'clock, our party, everything starts. People started coming. We are sitting in it rather 11 o'clock. Then one person started scolding me. What you are talking? You have built this much big dam. There is a big canals are going. But my village, I don't get water for my cattle. Leave about me, I take somewhere water. Then I told what I should do. Then we told you have to at least fill the tanks. Let our animals have a drinking water. That's what we want. Then I started raising the issue in my assembly, and now we are filling all the tanks. So the people surrounding are there. It was a very precarious. If you come and see there, you know how suffering is there. So I am happy, sir. We are going to be with you. We have to see that legislation, instead of making a ministry for water resources, you should have a ministry for river preserving and hill preserving, ministry for river preserving, and that should be in the hands of a prime minister. Because now there is no cabinet like that. It is all PMO, CMO offices working now everywhere. So it should be in the most important person that we should save our rivers, mountains, and our lakes. With this, again, I thank you. I really thank Prakash Rao. You are giving me opportunity and giving this, and such meetings are held. And we will not be able to conduct such meetings there. It is difficult for us. But there will be some B.R. Patil and we can do, and we'll see that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nadgowda ji. As a MLC or as a MLA, that time he is doing great job for water, river. And now I request to our great friend, the great friend of the rivers and water is B.R. Patil. B.R. Patil sometime is a speaker of Karnataka Assembly, and he do great job with us as a social worker. So B.R. Patil ji, he is not a politician. Please you not consider as a politician. He is like me. He always like pupil, our Prakash Rao. The Prakash Rao and B.R. Patil is the same character, you can see. So I request to... Sir.
See, blaming politician, it will be bad.
Yes.
So everybody must be active in politics.
Yes.
Then if you don't participate in this politics, corporate, gundas, company, those people will start ruling you.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. We are fully agree with you.
You all should be active so that we can throw them. I don't say they should not be there. They should be there of their limitation, 5%.
No.
Now 95% there.
We are fully agree with you. Okay. We are
don't blame politicians.
And Peter Alexander can come and sit behind us. Peter Alexander.
अध्यक्ष महोदय जी और साथियों, अभी जो नाडगौड़ा साहब ने जो बताया पीएमओज एंड सीएमओज, उस पर भी मेरा भरोसा नहीं. नाउ पीएमओ एंड सीएमओज आर कंट्रोल्ड बाय द कॉर्पोरेट्स. One said one step overhead, CMO and PMO. Now corporates are controlling the entire governments. What is the solution, Bhai Sahab? What is the solution? See, राजेंद्र भाई जब 74 आंदोलन के साथी है, जब कभी भी मैं वो बुलाते हैं, मैं एक विद्यार्थी के नाते आता हूँ, नेता के नाते नहीं या एक्सपर्ट के नाते नहीं. आई एम लाइक लर्निंग फ्रॉम हिम फॉर लास्ट सो मेनी ईयर्स एज ए स्टूडेंट. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, I was also 4-time MLA and 1-time MLC. Our governments are not serious about anything, just winning the elections. How to get elect and how to retain the power. सत्ता में आने के बाद सत्ता कैसा पकड़ लेने जाना है और सत्ता नहीं जाने से सत्ता कैसा पा लेना, ये दो बातें में इस देश का राजनीति चल रहा है. How to correct it? Then the people's movement. Unfortunately, our people are very innocent. They don't know about all these repercussions and effects. Now that what I suggest in this manifesto, परसों हाल में आया था सब पेपर में, अभी सरकार ने गोदावरी और कावेरी को लिंक करने का बात किया है. प्रकाश राव जी, is it possible to link Godavari and Kaveri? It is a foolish statement which I read in the paper. It is a foolish statement because in between the Ganga, Kaveri and Godavari, there is a Krishna river also flowing.
Just one line statement. You know, when the Atal Bihari Vajpayee start the new initiate linking of river, that time I speak your data by the National Water Authority is the fake. No river have the same water what is the data exists. So now that they are saying the linking of river on the data equation and calculation. So this is the disaster and manipulated this country. Now the all manipulation is going on because this country moving corporate driven democracy. So when we are moving you under the corporate driven democracy, so these type of the decision always executed. Thank you. Sorry, I intervene you.
जब सरकार कारपोरेट चला रहे तो हम लोगों का आपको काम ही नहीं है या नौकर होके जाना पड़ेगा. We have to face the challenges. We have ज़्यादा काम है अभी challenges ज़्यादा है. Why not? Why not? Because the way the elections are being. Now, Guru Swami ji, the way the election cost is increasing day by day, the crores of money is being spent in elections. Then how can you cannot think about the corporates? Corporates are. Yeah. I am not surrendering because these are all interesting debates are taking place. We are reaching a correct point. Where should we pin? We are reaching the correct point. So, regarding this Krishna Basin, there is a fight between the Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Now the Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they are fighting each other for the sharing of the water. Then this kind of fighting doesn't help neither state nor people. We have to find a alternative solution between the people. What Narendra Chung has said rightly. We also form a Kaveri family led by our great leader Puttannaya and others. Some extent we have solved a problem. Likewise, we have to solve the many problems. Now, in Bhima, Maharashtra has diverted the Bhima into the Sena river. This is kind of a dadagiri. They can't divert the entire river to the Sena river. Because of the diversion, we are not getting water. These are all problems. That's why I don't understand why these politicians or ministers making such statements. Godavari to Kaveri linking. There is no water in Godavari itself. The entire water is being exploited by the Maharashtra government. Maharashtra. As you know, sir, the highest dams were being built in this Godavari. 42 dams were built in this Maharashtra, big dams. So, sir, आपके चेले हैं हम लोग इस माने में पानी के बारे में सही माने में तो आपका जो फिलॉसफी है जमीन का पानी जमीन में गांव का पानी गांव में और खेत का पानी खेत में ये फिलॉसफी जब तक हम अडॉप्ट नहीं कर लेंगे ये पानी का समस्या सॉल्व नहीं होगा और वेस्टर्न घाट जस्ट आई वाज लुकिंग एट द ईस्टर्न घाट I have not read at all, neither know anything about this Eastern Ghats. We know something about the Western Ghats. Now the Western Ghats we are destroying. They are the issues, Mr. Nagoda. Western Ghats are the issue for us.
That whole country is an issue.
No, but in the Western, 22 rivers are flowing from the Western Ghats. Now we are destroying the Western Ghats also. That's why there is so many problems. I don't want to take much time. I think one roundtable discussion is needed with the experts, Rajendra Bhai. You can call the experts from all over India. We can sit in audience, like an audience. We want to listen from you. There are so many experts. In Karnataka, there is Yellappa Reddy, who is a very good environmentalist, very good concern about this environment. Like Suresh Shablikar, a film actor. So there are people in this country but they don't get forum and opportunities. That's why we are unable to know their ideas. So I request Rajendra Bhai Sahab to convey the a roundtable discussion of experts only. We can participate as a spectators, as a listeners, so that we can learn many more things and we can find out how to solve the water problem. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion. The 14th and 15th April, we invite a goal conference in Gandhi Darshan, Rajghat, Nai Delhi. So please come. 14th and 15th April. Yes. Okay, so Peter Alexander, we give only 2-3 minutes to you and you tell what we can do. Your work is very good on Bijapur, all structure rejuvenation. Peter Alexander.
आप सबको मेरा प्रणाम. Very good evening to you all, friends on the dais and off the dais. It is a historic meet that we all are together, all the water warriors coming together for a noble cause before it is too late. I come from Bijapur, presently Vijaypura, a place wherein 5 rivers meet together, the undivided district of Bijapur. It is Karnataka, Bijapur, Vijaypura of Karnataka. 5 rivers flow in our district, undivided district, and every time we face drought and flood together. That is a gross mass misutilization of the source and the resource. That is a clear technical flaw, and the people at the helm of affairs have taken it very lightly and do not understand how to manage water and its resources. People are dying, people are migrating, people are having all the odds to pose in the God-given opportunity, God-given source and resource is thrown to the dust. The projects are not scientifically fixed. Times the project do not get completed for months together, as my father sought that the project should complete. I think my grandchildren also will not be able to see our Alimati great project. A project which is not been scientifically placed, and I was the member on the public hearing for the raising of the dam from 519 to 524. it is very miserable. And what I mean to say is, it is enough for our need, but not for our greed. We are to plan for all, water for all, and it is a very shameful thing to be discussed here. But as we are one family of one Krishna, I feel, though the secrecy of office cannot be in office or in the, it has to be in the general public, it should be in public domain. Now, what has happened is, the raising of the dam, I strongly condemned that only 519 is enough for us. Raising the dam will not only create problem to us, but to the downstream and to the upstream. Both Telangana, that is Andhra, and that time Andhra, and subsequently Maharashtra will have draining problem and flood problems during that. By raising, it is not a scientific thing. Unless we don't take it scientifically, technically, then it will not be proper and precise. Now, the time has come. The situation is alarming. Last time we had problems wherein Koyana waters had to be flown down, and so many things are there in store. Now, Maharashtra is facing the disaster, floods there, flash floods, and so much of disaster happening, a loss to mankind and biodiversity. I feel there has to be a strong committee, strong people together to get to decide scientific meanings, not at the court levels, and it is just killing time. Justice delayed is justice denied. But now situation demands that we all have to rise to occasion and make things possible. Today, it is a day for all of us to think globally, at the same time to the biodiversity which is getting lost. I feel that we all rise to the occasion. Today, we have to think of so many other disasters also. When I was a member of the public hearing, I said this dam may cause seismic effects. Moreover, it is still a seismic effect, seismic zone, and we all need to take care of that also. The dams, the stability of dam, so many things are to be taken to see that the river health is maintained. The river health maintains our health, and not only this one river, Krishna, there are other 5 rivers which are there. They all need to be taken care. And unless we don't take care of it, it will be devastating disaster. Basically, I am a water activist. I used to call myself as Baba Jholgi Ramling, thinking of reviving the Ganga during the king's time. And that particular river, Ganga, that is Ramling Ganga river, is still in hot waters. So many rivers, the catchments getting polluted, the sedimentation of Alimati Dam, and several aspects are there. Time given to me is short, but the situation demands that the Krishna family and all the families of the Indian rivers are to work so that water for all and the share of judicious share to each one, not only for human mankind or agriculture, but all the biodiversity is to be taken care. I feel proud to be associated, and we are there at your beck and call under the able leadership of Rajendra Singh, Boli Shetty, and Prakash Rao, and all people present over here. We will work as cynics to meet this devastating disaster, to make water-free India, to see that water for all, no one is starved of water, and I feel we will make things possible. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Peter. And now, once again, I am inviting our Krishna family chairman, Shyam Prasad Reddy Garu, to give a presentation on River Halia. That is a completely dying river, but our brother is giving life with his efforts. He will give one PowerPoint presentation. Shankar, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prakash ji, for giving this opportunity to present the Halia. And before that, I want to share one thing with the manifesto concerned people. You see, tribunals were formulated to allocate water for the different states. You see, on Krishna, Bachavad was constituted to distribute water among 3 states, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, and they have distributed, and it was commissioned in 1976. And he has taken into account nearly 76 years record, flood records of Krishna, right from 1890 to 1965, I think so. And he has arrived one figure, 2060 TMC water is available at 75% dependability. At 75% dependability, he calculated the available water in Krishna is 2060. Another 70 TMC regenerated water. He has distributed among the 3 states. Okay. Then in 2000, up to it was valid up to 2000 May. I think in 2003 or 4, this Brijesh Tribunal is constituted again. And he has taken into account only 47 years, right from 1960 to 2007, I think so. Saying that the earlier records are not perfect records, no proper recording of the floods of the river. Therefore, I will consider only 47 years from 1960. That is more scientific, more scientific. And he arrived at 75% dependability. That means in 100 years, that water should be available for 75 years. He has arrived just 45 TMC excess over the 2060 TMC of Bachavat. He has right to distribute that water only. That water only. But he has distributed water at 65% dependability, even at average flow of 58% dependability. That water distributed on the basis of 65% and 58%, it is really making the river total dry. And Almaty was allotted nearly 130 TMs, I think so, out of those 65 and 58% dependability. Distributing the flood water among the states, then you are making the river to die naturally. Water has to reach the sea now. You see, earlier, you see, before impounding the extra water itself, Krishna has seen, as Krishna has not reached to the sea in some years. Then how about if you distribute even this flood water also among the 4 states, what will the fate of the Krishna? Therefore, we friends, we should insist on the tribunals not to allot the flood water to any state. Let the river flow. This I am requesting to include in the manifesto. Thank you.
You can now give presentation.
Yeah, now presentation. Okay, friends. Now I am going to my presentation. The first. Okay. it is simple presentation, Satya. यहाँ पे है ना, यहाँ से दिख, यही सेम यहाँ पे दिखता ना सेम. Shankar, what happened? Yes, I am ready. You start. Yes. First one. Yeah. Okay. This is the index map of Nalgonda district of Telangana state. That is India. Are undu babu. That is India, that is Telangana. The red one is the present Nalgonda. Because we have formed 33 states, 33 districts. This is the present Nalgonda district. Second. And this is the blue one is the area of Telangana, Krishna Basin in Telangana. And this is the river, Halia River. It is a tributary of Krishna. It joins the mainstream of Krishna in the downstream of Nagarjuna Sagar. And the total catchment area of Halia Vagu means river or stream, up to Krishna confluence is 4,085 square kilometers. And the catchment area of Halia Vagu up to Kanagal Vagu confluence is 1719. You see, the total river length, the river area is about 4,085 square kilometers, but we have taken for study up to the confluence of two rivers. That confluence of the two rivers, that area is 1719 square kilometers. You see, this is the catchment area of Halia River. The below one is the Halia River, the upper one stream is the Kanagal River. The confluence of Halia and Kanagal, that is the confluence point. Up to that confluence, we are now considering the length of the Kanagal River, which is on the upstream side, that originates from the Rachakonda Hills, near from that Ramoji Film City is there. From the other side of the eastern side of Ramoji Film City, that originates that Kanagal stream course, and it joins Halia River, which is coming from this, from I think it is from 45 kilometers from here on the Nagarjuna Sagar Road. From there it originates, and it joins there at the length after traveling 72 kilometers. Kanagal River travels 72 kilometers and Halia River travels 81 kilometers. They join there on the road, on the upstream of the road between Nalgonda and Devarakonda. Yeah, and you see the typical, the Kanagal River is influenced by two pollutions. One is already we are having this fluorine, excessive fluorine presence in the groundwater. If you drill, if you go for 100 feet below, you will find only fluorine. That is the problem. In addition to that, in the periphery of that catchment, we are having this national highway, Hyderabad to Vijayawada, and that near Chautupal area, we have so many pharmaceutical companies. Just now, earlier I have told that Divi pharmaceutical company, very big company, that stream course, one of its wing enters into that pharmaceutical company for 200 meters and comes out. That guy, he has drilled so many bore wells in the 200 meters length of stretch and simply dumping the waste of pharmaceutical waste into that bores. Simply, they are drilling bores and pumping the waste of the pharmaceutical waste into that bore. And my village is on that stream course only. We have seen, we have beautiful tank we are having. One day people, when I went to village, they have complained. So, pura kharab pani aa gaya. We have received totally chemical water into our, what you call our tank today, because that guy has released so many things. Then somebody, politicians have gone there and he has satisfied them. Situation not changed, but that guy has satisfied them. And similar thing, again go for the second, first. You mean? Back. అరే అక్కడ వస్తున్నదా మరి ఇక్కడ ఎందుకు వస్తలేదు? Shall I go down then?
Please turn this camera towards that screen. Please turn this camera. Can I have the
Okay, okay, okay. I will go down, I will go down.
Waterman of Telangana also like Waterman of India.
Huh?
Come down. Please turn the camera towards the screen.
See the you could understand the situation of that area. Even I am not able to present my case properly.
Even that industrialist is working.
Yeah, against it. And the downstream one is the Halia River. that river, that having, you see, the presence of fluorine is excessive presence of fluorine in that area. That is the black, that is the ridge between the two rivers, Halia and the Kanagal. Kanagal area is more and Halia is less, but you could see more water flowing through that river more. But you see, you will find excessive fluorine in that area. The world's, you see the record, 13.4, whereas the maximum limit is only 1.5 ppm. In that, in one village, it is 13.4. Totally that village was forced to vacate from that. People were forced to vacate that village. After this mission Bhagiratha, people are coming again, they are staying in that village. You see, in that area, you will find so many crippled people, lakhs of crippled people in that area due to fluoride. That is the problem. Therefore, now we want to study and both the problems. One is man-made one, another is nature. Therefore, we have next. There are 10 kilometers length streams are there on both the Halia and Kanagal, and we wanted to have some teams on each of that streams. Nearly, that means 7 into 4. 28 teams we can have on each stream. Demographic, that is number of districts concerned are Nalgonda, Yadadri and Rangareddy. Habitants of the covered area is near 375 villages are covered in that area. Population is nearly 4.6 lakhs. Okay, this is one. Next. And this is the
mutual respect for the seafaring community. Over the past 2.5 decades, Milan has evolved and transformed into a vibrant, professionally enthusing and personally enriching event for personnel from a multitude of maritime forces. This 11th edition of Milan 2022 aims to carry this shared legacy forward, as evident from its theme, camaraderie, cohesion, collaboration. The spirit also derives from our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's vision of Sagar, or security and growth for all in the region. Incidentally, Sagar in Hindi means the ocean. The maritime domain is literally and figuratively an ocean of opportunities. Our Honorable Prime Minister acknowledged the centrality of the seas when he said, and I quote, "Oceans are lifelines of global prosperity. They present us with enormous economic opportunities to build our nations," unquote. Concurrent with opportunities, as we seek security and growth for all, we also recognize the challenges that present themselves in the maritime domain. Among these, a vast majority are transnational in character. Terrorism, piracy, drug running, arms smuggling, illegal migration, natural disasters, and IUU fishing, just to name a few. All of these affect all of us. To be able to adequately address such challenges, we need to work as one, build interoperabilities, and enhance mutual operational trust. Milan provides an avenue to achieve this and to further augment our existing ties and then take them to the next higher level. This flows from a firm belief that the path to the future is paved with friendships and common purpose, with the seas forming the glue that binds us together. The events of the next few days will provide participants an invaluable opportunity to share operational insights in harbor, hone the skills at sea, enhance camaraderie on the sports field, and gain an exposure to Indian culture. I am confident that all of these will serve to create long-lasting friendships and relationships. I also hope each one of you goes back home with fond memories to cherish. This year, 2022, is of particular significance for India as we celebrate 75 years of our independence, our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. As we commemorate this milestone, it is indeed heartening for us to be able to share our joy on this occasion with our friends and partners from across the world. As is often said, maritime nations have a shared destiny. In that spirit, I think it is quite apt that Milan 2022 is being conducted in the city of destiny, Visakhapatnam. I am sure you will enjoy this picturesque city, which is renowned for its warm hospitality and holds a pride of place in Indian Navy's history as well. So before I conclude, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Visakhapatnam Civil Administration for their unflinching support, which has been invaluable as always in making this event a reality. My compliments also to the Eastern Naval Command for their efforts in organizing Milan 2022. Meticulous planning and extensive preparations are quite evident. I wish Milan 2022 all success and once again extend my gratitude to the Honorable Minister, our guests from friendly foreign countries, and all the distinguished dignitaries who have graced this opening ceremony. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Music has long played a part in daily life aboard ships, from sounding the daily routine to relieving the tedium of a lonely voyage. Naval bands have evolved to be a part of every ceremonial. The Eastern Naval Command Band, based at Vizag, is a versatile ensemble with its wide-ranging repertoire, including gripping martial music, arrangements of symphonies, overtures, concertos, Indian classical music, and a host of other genres. The rag is the central melodic motive of Indian classical music and is renowned to stir a wide array of emotions. The band will commence its rendition this evening with a rag fusion based on the rag Desh, titled Renaissance. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Eastern Naval Command Band.
కానీ ప్రకటించిన జిల్లాని ఎవరైనా కానీ విజయవాడకి ముఖ్యంగా ఆయన పేరు తలుచుకుంటే విజయవాడ గురించి గుర్తొచ్చే పేరు వంగవీటి మోహన్ రంగ గారు. ఎందుకంటే కుల మతాలకు అతీతంగా, పార్టీలకు అతీతంగా అందరికీ కూడా ఆయన ఎప్పుడు కూడా అందుబాటులో ఉండి పేదవాళ్ళకి ఎప్పుడు కష్టం వచ్చినా కూడా వాళ్ళకి తోడుగా ఉండి అసూలు బాసినటువంటి మహానాయకుడు. అలాంటి ఒక గొప్ప నాయకుడిని ఇవాళ